and see. Go, go, go. There we go. Sup, ladies and gentlemen, Akalon here, and of course, welcome back to each of one of you. And of course, if you are new here, thank you so much for joining us. I am very happy to have you here. If you're watching this over on YouTube, remember to slap that subscribe button. Also hit the like button so that you are notified whenever there is more of these vlogs, or VODs rather. But you should really be tuning into Twitch, because this is where the magic happens. Even though I can't fucking speak to save my life. For some reason, words are just not working at the moment. I don't know why. Just isn't working. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Okay. There we go. Notifications have been sent out. We should be good to go. I'm just quickly tweeting some rather spicy shit. Sathix, how you doing? Wild Boy, how you doing, bro? I'm just tweeting some spicy shit. Just trying to cause some shit. Just stirring. Pikarku, how you doing, bro? I'm just stirring a little bit. You know, having fun. Alright, that should be fine. Don't really care about anything else. Yeah, okay, we're good. Lassie's Baby, how you doing? So, how's everyone's Thursday? It is Thursday, isn't it? What day is it? Yes, Thursday. Zig, how you doing? Elodie, how you doing? Forgotten One, how you doing? E3 soon? When? When is E3? I haven't even been paying attention. Jamanio, how you doing? I was watching the Alien talk and VOD. What Alien? Kishfury, how you doing, bro? Is it today? Year before the video counter triggered. Uncle Sam, how you doing, bro? Hi, Cario, how you doing? My McDonald's is coming. Ah, 6 nice. Yesterday's stream. Oh. Over on YouTube or you're on Twitch? It's Friday. Forgotten One, it's Friday for you. It's Thursday for the rest of us. I had a run-in with a spider earlier, which gave me a heart attack. But other than that, I'm just being lazy. Thank fuck I haven't seen a spider in a really long time. I'll definitely be watching the main show. I'm probably not going to waste my time with the fucking pre-show. But I'm definitely looking forward to E3. Enoch, how you doing, brother? Typhon, how you doing? Today, good. COVID testing. Tomorrow, dentist. And meeting for unemployed people for work offer. Day after tomorrow, COVID vaccine. Oh, Pikarko, nice. Full fucking week. My Thursday or my Saturdays? Kishori, what do you mean? So you're off on a Thursday? I can send you a picture of the spider if you want to change that. No thanks. No thanks. You can keep your spider to yourself, Jamanio. But definitely not August. Solid Snake, you think so? My man, Batumancer, how you doing? I have a source that told me when patch 9.1 is launching, by the way. So I know at least right now when they're planning to do it. Azure Wave, how you doing? Good morning to you. You seem very happy on this Thursday. Is it soon? I can tell you guys, but then you can't tell anyone else. Like, that would fucking work. No, I know when it is. Of course, things can change still. This is the date that they have right now internally. But there was a date, for example, for D4 as well. And that date changed. It was supposed to be next year. But as far as I know, that date has changed now. So they can change it. This is not set in stone. But right now, the announcement is set to go live on July the 9th. Right? And then the patch will go live on July the 20th. Do you like stoner rock metal? Not really stoner stuff, but rock and metal I like. Too bad, my MacBook can only handle TBC. Wish I could play Shadowlands. Oh, Pikarku, you should lose that MacBook immediately. I can live with that. That's for now, right? A lot of things can change since now and then. So don't take my word for this. I'm literally giving you guys only what I know. Only what I've been told from my sources. I no longer have the sources that I used to have. I've been cut off by most of my sources. And I've also been cut off by Blizzard. I'm no longer in the Blizzard content creator program. So I no longer have access to all of my sources. The sources that I have now is very hush-hush. So I can't give you 100% all of the information that I used to be able to. Looks so good. They showed gameplay with no arcadey numbers, no pinball flashing. They even shut off the UI. I can play it like a classic D&D game now. Wild Boy, I will trust that that game launches when it fucking launches. Really, it's awesome. Typhoon, I'll give it a go. But I like things that I understand the words to. So if it's Greek, I'm not going to understand the words. Gift, how you doing? I must have missed a lot. I don't know you were cut out like that. Oh, yeah. But this has happened a while ago. So they actually changed it to... Did the stream drop? I don't think the stream dropped. Doing content creator program anymore. Bamboozer, so they closed down the Africa East... it was the Middle East and African sort of department for Blizzard Entertainment. They got closed down and it was all moved over to London in the UK. And my name was submitted to them. They were told, listen here, he's one of the creators. He's in the creator program. They were supposed to send me an email to, let me know whether or not I'm going to stay on in the content creator program or whether they're just going to get rid of me. I never even received the email. They just basically decided, fuck it. He's no longer part of the content creator program. So it doesn't really bother me. It's not as if I cried or anything. I got a free copy of the Shadowlands Collector's Edition out of my short stint within the Blizzard content creator program. So, it's not as if I left empty-handed. And I got a bunch of keys that I could give away and shit like that. But as far as I know, I'm no longer in the content creator program. I no longer get emails from them or anything like that. Have fun. It's not like Bastion, by the way. Johnny, what do you mean? You should come in Greece for vacation, man. Bro, getting to Greece is going to be... It's hard, bro. It's hard to travel. It's hard to leave South Africa at the moment. You're too well established as a creator, though. I'm not really. I mean, I'm still small considering all the people that they have in the content creator program. But then there's also people like Balila, for example, I think have opted out of the creator program. He sort of said once during a live stream that he no longer gives a shit about Blizzard handouts. So that's when he went off on Blizzard and sort of lost his cool for the first time ever, right? I don't know if you guys remember that. Asmongold, I don't think, is a part of it at all. Will you get vaccinated? I'm still hesitating if I should. Pikarku, I can't get vaccinated even if I wanted to. Yeah, the Dick in the Salad stream. That stream. Come on, Gold. Hey, I would not mind having that name. Fuck it then. Power to you. Do you? Uncle Sam, I don't care, right? The nice thing is they never forced me to do any... it's a lore stream, War Puppy. So I never cared about being in the content creator program because they never told me what I'm allowed to say and what I'm not allowed to say, which was literally the first thing I told them when they contacted me saying, do I want to be part of it? I said, I would love to, but only if I'm allowed to say what I want to say and I don't have to double check it. And they said, no, we don't even care. We literally don't even give a shit. We don't want to see your videos. You just make your videos where you're in the content creator program regardless. And I was like, okay, cool. So, but you do sort of, you censor yourself when you're in that program. Like whenever Blizzard does something that sort of pisses you off, you do go, should I say this? Maybe I shouldn't say this. Whereas now I can do whatever the fuck I want, right? Catalytic Flow, thank you for the Prime sub. Really fucking appreciate that. 2 months in a row. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You see, I want to see Balaluzi shit. He did. Maybe you'll get get sponsored by Malfa Pudding. That's not how you spell it, Wild Boy. I've told you before how to spell Malfa Pudding. Why do you spell it Mulfa Pudding? The fuck is that? Do you ever fully have a lore stream? I mean, there is stuff that I want to discuss in this stream that is World of Warcraft related. Let's say it that way. It depends on wherever chat wants to take the conversation after that, but I have some things lined up that I want to discuss. When did Balila lose his shit? How'd I miss that? Oh, Nico Spider. It's on his new Balila Clips channel. He has a clips channel from his live streams. So they do the live stream and then they have like a shit ton of clips that goes out. Some of the clips are completely useless, like 6 minutes of nothing being said, nothing really happening. It's almost as if the clips are just made to be clips that people can click on. But then there's one clip where he absolutely loses his shit. Like he loses his shit in a Balila way. So let's just be clear. He doesn't go apeshit and calls Blizzard cunts and things like that. But in a Balila way, it's more animated than I've ever seen him. Do you think the Dark Lady will lose her body again in the 9.1 raid? That's why we can loot her corpse. Forgotten One, no, but she never lost her body. She is a Banshee. Banshees have the ability to sort of present themselves in a body, right? So she's never lost her body unless I missed something massive, but I don't think I did. I don't think she's losing her body. There's definitely something big coming that we will discuss. I'm just waiting for people to sort of filter in so that once everyone's here, we can really get off and going. Yeah, I do not think that she's gonna die. First off, the Blizzard listens to no one. Look, at the end of the day, Blizzard right now seems to be playing sort of defense with their game. I don't know why. I don't know what the fuck they're up to. I don't know why Blizzard have stopped believing in their game. I'm going to tell you guys this right off the bat. I was just playing Final Fantasy just before the stream. Well, actually, an hour before the stream, I started doing the lore podcast for the patrons. But before that, I was playing Final Fantasy. And I was doing 2 hours of me just running around doing one of the main quests. And the way Final Fantasy does their quest design, like the way they tell the story, it is fucking marvelous. It is marvelous. I barely know any of these characters and I care about them. There's already secrets that I want to find out about that makes me want to play it again so that I can find out what these secrets are. I've just met a guy by the name of Aldous, and Aldous did something that got him kicked out of the Gladiator Guild. I don't know what he did. They don't want to tell me yet, but he's sort of, I'm working with him at the moment, but I'm sort of hiding it from Mela, who's the guild master for the Gladiator Guild, and she hates Aldous, but she actually loves Aldous, I think. So it's this whole fucking story, and the way they present the story to you, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. When Arthas killed her, she claimed it back when she got her control. Forgotten One, I'm not entirely sure about that. He turned her into a Banshee. Which, if you look at her now, whenever she goes into Banshee form, it's not as if her body stays behind. She just turns into a Banshee and then moves on, right? Her body goes wherever she goes. I think at the end of Shadowlands, if Sylvanas still is alive, she will be forced to take the Reforged Helm up on her to control the Scourge. I do not think so. I genuinely don't think so, but it might be possible. I don't think you can force someone to do it, though. That amount of power, you do not want that power in the hands of someone that could use it to fuck you up, right? Dzak, thank you for the 0 sub. I really fucking appreciate that. 8 months in a row. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yoshtola? No, I haven't, Enoch. So I've just joined the Scions of the 7 Sands or some shit like that. Well, I don't know what they're called again. It's the Scions of something. I've just joined them, and I've just did my first quest with them. Now I basically have 2 quest lines that I'm doing at the minute. The one is for the Scions, and the other one is for the Gladiator Guild. Those are the only 2 quests that I'm doing at the moment. She will do it by herself. Sorry, miswrote that. She will do it for the greater good, so to say. I don't know if Sylvanas would ever be that 7th Dawn, Scions of the 7th Dawn. That's the one. I'm doing their main quest line now. The quest I just did for them, there were some peasants that was being taken from the What's that place called again? Fucking town called again. It's literally in Uldar. I think it's Western Uldar. I think it's Western Uldar. It might be saying, no, it's Western Uldar, I think. Because Eastern Uldar is where the signs of the seven dawns are. Or the seventh dawn. I think it's Western Uldar. There's a sort of town. It's like a refugee town. And refugees were going missing. Like, people were stealing the refugees. And I just finished that quest line that sort of ends in a dungeon. The dungeons are insanely cool, by the way. It's like 4-man dungeons in Final Fantasy. They are so much fun because they're very storied. Like, the dungeon itself, the bosses doesn't have a bunch of lines and sort of voice lines and stuff that throws you off. But once you're finished with the dungeon, there's like a story behind the dungeon that either finishes or starts. It's really cool. I'm slowly but surely falling in love with Final Fantasy. When it comes to the Sylvanas thing, Dizak, did I thank you for tier 1 supping? I think I did. But still, thank you very much. Really appreciate that, bro. The problem with the whole Sylvanas thing, and the thing that I think most people miss about Sylvanas, is her plan, I think, is going to take her very far away from the rest of us. Because her plan is sort of... One of the topics we're going to be discussing today is a slight change in Sylvanas' plans, and things may not be working the way that she wanted them to work. This world, Azeroth, torn apart by war, infected by Fel, plotted on by old gods. Khadgar will fix it. Khadgar can suck a dick. Julster, how you doing, bro? Actually, you don't even notice the weep stuff after a while. Like, it just... Like, I still laugh at the small people, like the midgets in the game. They still make me laugh so much. And also, I can never get used to the cat people. Like, the cat girls in the game, just... I can't get used to them. But everything else is sort of just normal. It doesn't really... Like, it's just a cool story. In fact, the story for Final Fantasy is... Final Fantasy 14 is so good that I'm considering playing other Final Fantasies, because if the story is told the same way in other Final Fantasies as it is in Final Fantasy 14, I could have a ton of fun in some of the other Final Fantasies. Lalafal. I don't like the names also of the small people. The small people's names piss me the fuck off. I'm already almost at 40 in Final Fantasy. It's really hit, and I'm kind of addicted to the story. Last year's Babby, it is such a good story. I wish I had more time to play, to be quite honest. You really need to play Final Fantasy 7, 8, and 9 then? I will play the remake once it comes out on PC. I think the Jailer is not the big boy this X-Pack. I think he is trying to access the Sepulchre to release the Master of Death, because the first one's put him there somehow. War Puppy, I have a theory out that I think I released like a month ago already that says exactly that. All of the evidence right now points to the Jailer not being the big bad of the expansion. And if you don't believe me, what the hell is happening in 9.1? If the Jailer was indeed the big bad of the expansion, then 9.1 would have been 9.3. We would have done a whole bunch of other things, and then finally we would have made our way to 9.1 or to the domination, so that we can finally face off against Sylvanas and the Jailer. The fact that we are going to the seat of the power of the Jailer in 9.1 already suggests that something's afoot. Why would we be going to the Jailer so early on? And thanks to cinematic spoilers, for those of you that don't want spoilers, close your ears right now, take off your headsets or whatever the fuck you need to do. But the fact of the matter is, the Jailer reaches the Arbiter in this expansion. In this patch, the Jailer gets to the Arbiter. Far-fetched, but do you believe we will see Ashara play any role in Shadowlands, or will she not be used until another X-Pack? Only reason is, the last line in Nyalotha, the true throne of power, beckons, and I intend to claim it. Azure Wave, I believe that Ashara is going to show up later on. Cask, how you doing? So all of this really depends. This was an interesting discussion that myself and Apocalypse had earlier today, during the Lore podcast, but there is a chance, and I'm not saying this is happening, but there is a chance. Let's quickly just show you guys this, because I think a lot of people are overblowing this. So this article has been doing the rounds on Twitter. It's been doing the rounds on YouTube. Everyone is talking about it. Final Fantasy XIV is apparently the world's most played MMORPG, right? Everyone's been talking about this now. You have people like Mr. GM saying that, you know, should we be going into Final Fantasy streamers' streams to ask them if they would like to play WoW? Is that the thing now? So let's just quickly do this before we get into the desperation that Blizzard may or may not be facing because of something like this. Final Fantasy XIV might be closer to World of Warcraft in terms of active players than ever before, according to statistics by MMO population. Final Fantasy XIV is currently sitting at around 2.49 million active players compared to World of Warcraft's 2.19 million active players. These statistics do come with a few caveats, however. The biggest caveat before taking any of these numbers seriously is the source. Neither Blizzard nor Square Enix are particularly open about player numbers or subscriber counts these days. According to MMO population, the numbers are extrapolated by using nebulous statistics like sentiment tracking and online social activity. Now, first thing I'll say about this is it depends on how long you've been doing this, right? If you've been doing sentiment tracking and online social activity for, say, 2 years, then you can go, well, social activity right now is higher for Final Fantasy than it is for World of Warcraft, so that might mean that there are more players right now in Final Fantasy than what there might be in World of Warcraft, right? And that is definitely something that could happen. Solve the Bee, how you doing? Thank you very much for the follow, really fucking appreciate that. Welcome to the channel. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The big caveat that I would put on this is, what exactly is there for players to be social about? Because online social activity would mean things like Twitter, maybe things like YouTube, views for YouTubes and things like that. Facebook, Instagram. But that's not necessarily a good metric to use, especially right now. It's 8 months since the last fucking new thing happened in Shadowlands. Of course, not a lot of players are tweeting about World of Warcraft. Of course, not a lot of players are making Instagram posts about World of Warcraft. What the fuck is there to make? Like, I mean, I'm a content creator that creates story content, and I'm out, right? Half the time, I'm scraping the bottom of the fucking barrel trying to find content, because there is nothing. We've covered everything, right? Now, I could make videos on a lot of other lore speculation things, but those videos right now wouldn't get any views because it's not current content. It's not things that people care about, like, for example, the Old Gods, or we could go even further back to stuff that happened in Legion with Sargeras. These aren't content. This isn't content that's going to really justify making a video on it. So for current content, the bottom of the barrel has been scraped by most content creators. Very few people have anything to say about World of Warcraft at the moment. So I don't necessarily trust this line of it very much. It's difficult to track hidden MMO subscriber numbers, but we do our best. By combining online social activity, sentiment tracking, public statistics, rankings, and more, MMO Populations estimates the total subscribers, players, and active daily players for the top MMOs. This fact alone makes these numbers suspect. It is also worth noting that World of Warcraft's active players and total player counts have been separated into counts for World of Warcraft and counts for World of Warcraft Classic, which I think is a good thing. All of this, by the way, is to say, do take this entire article with a grain of salt, right? Do not go, oh my god, Final Fantasy is now the biggest game in World of Warcraft, in the MMO genre. World of Warcraft days are numbered. Maldorf, like you just did there. I wouldn't go so far as to say that. I think World of Warcraft still has a very active, very loyal player base. I think World of Warcraft still, well, Elodie, they don't have the actual sub numbers, so they're basically looking at, say, for example, people tweeting. If people are tweeting about TBC Classic, they don't count that as World of Warcraft, they count that as TBC Classic, versus someone tweeting about Shadowlands, that would count as one tweet for Shadowlands. All of this said, though, there is definitely an argument to be made that Blizzard might be a little bit stressed. If you look at almost all of the content creators for World of Warcraft, very many of them have been talking about Final Fantasy, right? You have people like Balila. You even have people like Asmongold saying maybe I should give it a go. You have people like Soul So Breezy looking at the game. Pyromonster is playing the game actively right now on Twitch. I'm playing the game and talking about the game. So a lot of the content creators is already looking at the game going, interesting, right? This is definitely a point of worry, I think, for a lot of the developers within World of Warcraft, because contrary to popular belief, content creators are extremely important to the game's health. The overall health of the game is very much dependent on the creator community, because we keep the hype for the game going. We are the people that sort of release the news and add the entertainment to the game. And around us, we form communities that sort of love the game just as much as we do. And all of that is healthy for a game's existence. Now, when you have a lot of the content creators sort of not turning their back on your game, but starting to move to other games, that might be a little bit worrisome. And this is where I get into the actual question that was asked, even though it was a very long-winded answer. But the actual question, to answer your question there, would Azshara come back? It would depend on the desperation of Blizzard Entertainment. If Blizzard truly believes that there is a reason to be desperate, if Blizzard truly believes that their game might be in some real trouble, we could see a myriad of characters. Remember, Blizzard sort of said at the beginning of Shadowlands, they don't want to turn this expansion into a who's who of who already died, right? They don't want to bring back people like Saurfang. They don't want to bring back people like Arthas unless it's absolutely necessary. They really want to pick and choose the right characters to bring back, and all the others they're going to leave. But what happens when your game is slowly losing players, and players are slowly losing confidence in your game? Well, maybe a Hail Mary pass is exactly it, right? You announce that Saurfang is coming back in 9.2. You announce that Azshara is coming back in 9.2. You announce that fucking... who else? Who else could be coming back? Varian is coming back in 9.2, right? Arthas is coming in 9.3. So you announce a myriad of characters, fan favorites, and you sort of hope that that's enough to bring back players. So that you know, you don't lose your entire group. Because World of Warcraft is in a bit of an arduous situation right now. Let's just be very honest about this. And I don't want this to sound like I'm just sort of bashing on Blizzard, because that's literally not what I'm doing. But World of Warcraft is in a very arduous position right now. That position is, up until Legion, Blizzard have always been known for, you know, one expansion is great, the next is a little bit bad, then you have a great one, then you have a bad one. Legion launched after WoD. Legion was amazing. People loved it. It sort of restored the hope to World of Warcraft. But then, of course, you had... then you had Battle for Azeroth, which was an absolute miserable failure, leading into Shadowlands, which was supposed to be the expansion that saves the game again, right? That's the expansion that brings everyone back, and that's the one that everyone keeps talking about. But this one falls flat as well. This one also just sort of dies. People are upset. People don't want to play this. People are angry. People are annoyed. That's the first time in the history of World of Warcraft that they have back-to-back failing expansions. This has never happened before. And I've made a claim like a year ago or so where I said I don't think any game can survive that. Not specifically World of Warcraft. I don't think any game can survive that. 4 years of players going, I don't like this. This isn't fun. Might just be the straw that breaks the camel's back. I'll just be honest with you guys. And this is not, I'm not predicting the end of WoW by any stretch of the imagination. I think there's a lot of time for Blizzard to fix the shit that they've made and make the game, because all the workings is there. Shadowlands is an amazing expansion with a couple of caveats that really brings the expansion down. If they fix those caveats, the expansion is great and there's no reason to worry. But I will say, the developers of EverQuest did not think that they would be replaced by Blizzard. The developers of Dark Age of Camelot did not think that they would be replaced by EverQuest. You never see these things coming. They just happen. It just happens. A new game comes out or a game redeems itself and suddenly your player base leaves. And the biggest issue is everyone that seems to leave for Final Fantasy likes it, which is a huge issue, right? Because I've spoken to a couple of people now that started since I've started talking about it, since Ballier started talking about it, that started playing Final Fantasy, and all of them seem to love the game. And 50 on one server. Cask, I don't know yet if I'm going to make a guild in Final Fantasy. Let's just first see when I get to max level how I feel about the game. And then maybe. WoW is a near dead. Remember WoD? At the end of WoD, barely anyone played it because the death of many legacy servers like BlackRock and Darkspear until Legion came out and the game sprouted players. Warpuppy, literally everything I just said speaks to what you just commented there. I literally just told you. WoD was normal for World of Warcraft. You would have a great expansion followed by a shitty expansion followed by a great expansion. Shadowlands is the first time in the history of World of Warcraft where you have a shitty expansion being followed by a shitty expansion. This has never happened before. So you can't say that you can't use WoD as the defense for this won't matter. Because people just came off of 2 years of not playing the game for BFA, now going into Shadowlands, more years of not playing the game with Shadowlands. I know so many people that watch my content still that no longer subscribes to Shadowlands, that no longer plays it. I've actually considered starting streaming on Twitch a while back after getting a new gaming rig, and originally I wanted to stream Shadowlands, but Final Fantasy is looking way more appealing at the moment. Final Fantasy is fun. If we didn't have this content drought, in my opinion, Shadowlands is a great expansion. Shadowlands has all the makings of a great expansion. Do not get me wrong. Not for a moment am I sitting here and saying Shadowlands is as bad as BFA. BFA had structural issues that could not be fixed. There was literally no way to make BFA a good expansion. Even in 8.3, BFA was mildly good, but it was still rather shit. Shadowlands has a bunch of things going for it. The problem is those things are hampered by Blizzard themselves, and Blizzard needs to figure out how to fix those things if they're actually going to make the game worthwhile and release the game in a state that people actually want to partake in. They're not out of ideas. If you look at the amount of things that Blizzard keeps releasing, they're definitely not out of ideas. I think the biggest problem within World of Warcraft right now is Yoshi P actually did an interview where he explained what they had to do after the failures of Final Fantasy. When Final Fantasy XIV just launched and it was one of the biggest failures ever, right? Yoshi P spoke about what they had to do, and they basically said, we couldn't make the game that we thought as developers was a good game. We couldn't go, well, as a developer, I want this, I want that, I want this, I want that. The only thing we could do there is fix the game for the players. We had to look at what the players wanted, and we had to give them what they want. That's all they could do, because the game was failing. There was no more, well, we believe this is the best way to play the game. What you believe brought the game to its fucking knees. So maybe it's time to no longer do what you believe, because what you believe is actively destroying your fucking game. Right? Yoshi P literally said they had to realize it, and they had to realize, well, we can't make the game that we think is a good game, because clearly the game that we thought was a good game wasn't a good game. Now, Yoshi P had nothing to do with the original development of Final Fantasy, but still, the game was in trouble, they had to fix it, and they did exactly what they needed to do in order to fix it. This is what I believe Blizzard needs to do. Blizzard needs to stop thinking, well, this is our thinking, and they need to realize that their thinking and the players' thinking. And Yoshi P actually said something that was so interesting to me. In that article, Yoshi P said, it is incredibly important that all the developers play their own game at a very high level, so that when players complain about things, you can actually understand why they're complaining about it. Otherwise, what will end up happening is the players will start viewing the developers as the enemy. And as he said it, I thought to myself, whoa. If I look at the general World of Warcraft, audience, so many of them currently do believe that the developers is the enemy of the game. Which maybe begs the question, do the developers of World of Warcraft actually play World of Warcraft? BFA was a battle with the devs. I will agree to that. Shadowlands feels less like a battle with the devs. BFA was a massive battle with the devs. Because every single time in BFA, the devs announced something, the players went, no, please don't do this. Please don't fucking do this. And then they do it. And then players go, what the fuck is going on here? And then they announce a new thing and players going, don't do this. This isn't going to work. And Blizzard does it. And players go, what the fuck are we, who are we speaking to? To recommend the stream to me. Been listening for about 20 minutes. You're a great streamer. Wish you the best. Ilvator, thank you very much. Really appreciate that. How do Twitch recommend streams, though? I didn't know Twitch had a recommendation function. So, oh, sidebar. Okay, that makes sense. I didn't think anyone even looked at the sidebar, so I'm very happy to have you here. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that. Final Fantasy now. Let's see what this is all about. Solid Snake, I have a couple of words of advice for you. I have a couple of words of advice. Fucking stop before you start playing that game. Let's talk quests. You will be tempted as a World of Warcraft player to pick up every single quest and do it. Don't do that. That is a miserable fucking idea. You should never do that. I did it. I'm over leveled at the minute, and basically I get no gear from any of the quests that I do because I've out leveled the quest that I do. You only do the main quests. It's like you'll almost never have more than one quest until you get to like level 17 when you unlock the Science of the Seventh Dawn. Then you'll have 2 quests. At any given point, you'll have like a maximum of 2 quests in your quest log. That's it. Those are the only quests you do. You don't even touch any of the other quests. The main quests are going to take you into dungeons. It's going to teach you a whole bunch of shit. You do not want to do any of the side quests. They make you out level the entire fucking story. So this is where I am now. I'm doing level 17 quests, even as a level 29, because I did all of the quests until Enoch told me don't do it. The other thing is, it actually becomes really cool. So I just unlocked my 3rd combo. So I now have Fast Blade. I use Fast Blade, and then I use a Stabby Blade because my Fast Blade empowers my Stabby Blade. Then my Stabby Blade empowers some big fuck-off blade that does a combo. Like I hit the target like 3 or 4 times with big light shit and stuff coming out of my sword. That's my rotation now. So I have 3 buttons that I basically press in sequence in order to unlock full potential on the DPS meter. Even though I'm a tank. But don't judge the game too harshly early on. The combat feels miserable in the beginning. It gets really cool later on. The dungeons are really fucking awesome. Very difficult to see what the fuck goes on though. If you're a tank, holy shit, what a fuck up. The amount of spell effects is insane. I'm a gladiator at the moment, Cask. Wait, you're not allowed to talk about DPS meters? What? Yeah, I do the spinny thing the whole time. Except for on single target, where I just do my rotation. What are your thoughts on the no DPS meters? I think that's a good thing. Actually, I personally believe that no DPS meters would save World of Warcraft in many ways as well. The only reason cookie cutters exist, cookie cutter builds in World of Warcraft exist right now, is because of DPS meters. If you remove DPS meters, you would give developers so much more freedom to basically design the game the way that they wish to design it, without any questions, right? The developers could literally just go, well, fuck it, we want to make 50 new talents for every single class, and we don't give a shit who picks what talents, because there is no DPS meters. There's also no way to track DPS within a dungeon or a raid. Now, I believe the way that Final Fantasy does this and the way they can do this is a lot of their fights seem to be focused more on movement and staying out of things and not dying to things, rather than just straight up DPS battles against the boss. Now, of course, there is also the argument to be made when it comes to max level content. World of Warcraft is better. When it comes to max level raiding, it's far more competitive. It feels, at least based on the videos that I've watched, it feels far more technical. So there is probably an argument to be made that World of Warcraft wins out on endgame content, and in that regard, DPS meters are very, very important. But I do think that DPS meters have so many more downsides than what they have upsides to them, if that makes sense. You can keep the DPS for you, but not talk about it or link it and so on. There's too much content in WoW that would be impossible to do if we didn't care about how people are performing. Lodi, not necessarily. I just wish you could have add-ons in Final Fantasy. I like my customizable hotbars and such. Can't you have add-ons? Someone told me just yesterday when I was doing the dungeon, everyone was following me. And so I typed to the group and I was like, hold on. Why are you guys following me? This is the first fucking time that I'm doing this. I need to be following you. I don't know where I'm going. And so one of the healer actually said, okay, just follow me. And then he said, is this your first dungeon? I said, yeah. And he said, I'll wait for you to get add-ons. And I'm like, no, it's cool, bro. Let's just go. I'm not going to fucking download a bunch of add-ons right now. He said, get add-ons. So I'm assuming there must be some kind of add-on. You literally get nothing for being top DPS. Don't know anything about Final Fantasy. Is it Final Fantasy Online you're playing? Do you have to buy the game and pay monthly for access like WoW? Stalin, how you doing, bro? I bought the game and I pay monthly, but from what I understand, you do not need to do that if like the first 60 levels of the game is free to play. I don't know how you access those first 60 levels because I haven't been able to access them. I legitimately paid from the very get-go. I got 30 days for free after I bought the entire package of the game, and now I'm paying monthly for the game. But I think you can play up to the first 60, up to level 60 you can play for free. Massey, don't even get me started. Do not even get me fucking started. Yes, installing that game and registering for the content and registering your account it was made by a guy that hates humanity. It's absolutely horrendous. I have never seen, even paying for the fucking game is insane. It's fucking stupid. Even paying for the game is just like, what the fuck? I just want to pay. I don't care. Just let me pay for the game. So yeah, whoever designed their accounts really didn't care about customer service or even ease of access. But once you get past that fucking initial hurdle, it's not that bad. Like, it gets better. The game, on the other hand, does such a good job with customer service and sort of ease of access. There's so many things that exist within Final Fantasy that I absolutely wish World of Warcraft would have. So if we just get off on, like, right at the beginning, I had to look at Final Fantasy as someone who's never played MMOs, because that's how the game presents itself. The first few levels of the game is geared towards a player that has no idea how to play an MMO, right? And they teach you so much of what the game is. And here's the coolest thing for me when it comes to Final Fantasy and what they do for new players in that game. You have the Hall of the Novice, right? Which is basically like a training ground, basically like the old proving grounds. Now, as a gladiator, I'm a tank. So every single lesson that they have inside the Hall of the Novice teaches me how to tank. It teaches me how to move out of area of effect spells. It teaches me how to dodge certain things. It teaches me how to get threat, how to use my different abilities, and it all coalesces. It ends in a sort of mini NPC dungeon where you fight a bunch of mobs and you have to keep threat on them while the rest of your party just does a bunch of DPS. And you have to learn how to pick up mobs that's spawning halfway through the fight. But it doesn't end there. The first dungeons that you're introduced to in Final Fantasy XIV is also teaching dungeons. Like, I remember going through all of the dungeons, and you would get bosses and different ads that you had to sort of pick up. The dungeons do another thing that's really amazing, by the way. When you first enter a dungeon, it actually tells all of the players in the dungeon that one or more people in the group is doing this for the very first time. And then they say that there's actually going to be bonus loot upon completion. So if we complete this dungeon, they're actually giving bonuses to people for completing the dungeon because it's someone in the party is there for the very first time. So people are extremely helpful. I disconnected a couple of times. I don't know why. Yesterday, I disconnected a couple of times from the dungeon, and every single time I came back, people just, no, it's fine, bro. Don't worry about it. So people seem to be extremely nice, at least. And the dungeons are teaching you. As you're a tank, the mobs there's mobs spawning throughout the boss fights, and it gets worse and worse as you get to the third dungeon. I believe it was the third dungeon where the boss was spawning an incredible amount of ads. And I was just looking at it and I'm like, what the how am I supposed to pick up all of these ads? Because I only have one ability to pick them up. So I was running around like a headless chicken. But the first boss from the first dungeon, the final boss from the first dungeon, he almost spawned, I think he spawned like 3 ads throughout the entirety of the dungeon, of the fight. So the dungeons also feel like it ramps up in difficulty as you're supposed to get better. And they teach you a lot about teamwork and how the teamwork is supposed to happen. So Final Fantasy, as far as I'm concerned, just from getting into the game, that first experience that you get as you're in the game is it's amazing. I absolutely loved my first experiences, especially from a new player's perspective. Even though I know exactly what I'm doing, I've been an MMO player for years, decades at this point. It was still nice to see that this is how they treat new players. But it goes so far above and beyond that. So, for example, the story quests is absolutely amazing. The fact that you can literally... The best way to play the game is to only do the main quests. Like, not doing the side quests is actually the way to play the game. Just forget about the side quests. Even though some of the side quests is actually pretty cool. For example, there was one side quest that I had to do in Vesper Bay. Not Vesper Bay. It was a different sort of a harbor area where you have to help the people out in the harbor, and it's a complete side quest, but it does actually have a story attached to it. And once you've done it, the harbor is now safe, and you never have to worry about the harbor again. So the way the story is presented to you is amazing. But here's actually the thing that I love most about Final Fantasy. From what I can gather, now maybe chat is going to tell me I'm completely wrong, but when I look at my duty quests, these are the quests that I get from my guild hall. I'm a gladiator, so I get a lot of quests from the guild. These seem to be entirely tied to the gladiator. Like, it feels, at least from what I can tell, as if every single class has its own fundamental story, because the stories that I'm playing through with the guild order hall right now, not order hall, the guild hall, is literally to do with their story. So I'm learning about the gladiator guild. I'm learning about the problems that the gladiator guild faces. I'm solving problems for the gladiator guild, and these have nothing to do with any of the other classes. So think World of Warcraft class order halls for the whole game. I see people in chat are telling me that is correct, which is so fucking cool, because we all love class order halls, right? We all thought class order halls is absolutely amazing, but the entire game is class order halls, because your class that you pick has its own story. That every single class that you play is gonna have an entirely different story, because the class stories is unique to that class, which I think is absolutely amazing. I think that's lovely. I've leveled my gladiator. I just started learning about materials, even though I think they have a different kind of name. But it seems to be... This is another thing that was really interesting to me that I don't understand yet, because the goblin that I have to speak to doesn't know how to speak. He doesn't speak English, or Englander was hard for him. But you... So basically, the more you use an item in Final Fantasy, you create a spirit bond or a soul bond with that item. So your soul, it technically gets uploaded into the item. Materia, that's the one. Thank you, Lucius Babby. Now, once the item reaches 100% soul bind or whatever, you can now strip the item for materia. So you can actually grab materia from the item, some of that soul crystals. You can make crystals out of the soul. And you can use that materia that you have to imbue other items. So you can add crit or strength or something like that to other items using the materia that you just got from a different item. So it's like enchanting, but just much more involved, because it requires you to stick with gear. Now, I don't think it's going to help with me leveling at the moment, but I do think at max level, this is going to become very interesting. As players sort of equip gear, I don't know if this is how it works. This is just sort of what I thought would probably happen. But as players equip gear, because all they're really interested in is the soul bind or the soul, the materia from that item. And then once they have the materia, now they go to the item that they actually wanted from the very beginning, right? So this is another thing that I just thought was absolutely tremendously well done in Final Fantasy. There's a couple of other things in Final Fantasy that I think games like World of Warcraft could absolutely learn. There's so much onus placed on the RP element of the game, on the RPG element of the game. I literally, I'm not an RP player, just want to be very clear. But as I was playing through Final Fantasy, I couldn't help but ask myself, why do RP people even play WoW anymore? The absolute staggering amount of RP options in that game. You do quests, and they teach you how to fucking RP, right? The quests, this was side quests that I was doing, by the way, before I knew that you're not supposed to do side quests. But some of the side quests were teaching me, how do you do role-playing stuff? How do you engage with role-playing stuff? Then you have the housing system, which is something that I've only been introduced to, but there's like a bunch of quests that I still have to do for the housing questions, for the housing to actually be fully unlocked to me. It is ridiculous, just the amount of effort that this game have put into the game. The game just feels full. It feels as if the developers truly wanted to create this theme park where everything really is possible. And I personally think that is insane. This is my initial thoughts on the game. I'm still playing, but I'm having a fucking whale of a time doing it. Very much rewards social and RP interaction. I don't RP at all. Someone tried to RP with me the other day, and I just ran away. Honored, if you can stand the first 20 levels, get Final Fantasy. It's fun. Kind of Final Fantasy and want to try it, but can't get back my account because I bought it when it came out. Oh, TV. I think you can play it for free right now. I've been to Limsa Lominsa just for the main story. I had to go hand in some... I had to go tell the other leaders that that they're planning some sort of big event for all the fallen soldiers after the calamity. I don't know if it happens on other servers, but I'm on Leviathan. Every time I go to Limsa Lominsa, there are always a bunch of name players dancing. I'm on, I think Goblin is the server that I'm on. I would say that Final Fantasy does an incredible job of you. So how do I put this? In Final Fantasy, yes, you are a hero, but also not really. The feeling I get whenever I play Final Fantasy is as if you're helping out because you're the best person for the job, not because you're revered or, you know, you're sort of this great holier than thou godlike character, but more you are special because you obviously have abilities and you have talents that other people don't have. This is one of the reasons why the Scions of the Seventh Dawn, for example, care about you, because you are one of the warriors of light. So you are special, but that's not the idea you get whenever you do just normal quests. It's not the feeling they create within you, at least from my perspective. If you look, for example, at World of Warcraft, in World of Warcraft, you're constantly told that you are the hero, right? And that somehow you are important to the saving graces of the world, but it's not really you that's doing much, right? You're just doing a bunch of things for other people. Whereas in Final Fantasy, you don't feel like the hero, but you are doing things, right? You are the person doing it. You are the one playing the story. You are the one pushing the story forward. It's not other people that is doing it on your behalf. It's not you doing it and you're just sort of seeing the story play out, which is sometimes what it feels like in World of Warcraft. It feels like you're the one playing. How do I explain this correctly? World of Warcraft feels like you're playing a book where the main character of the book isn't your character. Does that make sense to anyone in chat? Like, you're not the main character of that story. You're sort of you're just seeing the story. So Blizzard allows you to see the story unfold, but you personally have nothing to gain or to put towards the story. Now, if you look at Final Fantasy, there's actual places where you make decisions, right? I just had Aldous, for example. Aldous was telling me about some of the shit that he did 7 years ago, and then he's like, "Be kind to Myla. She's gonna need you and champions like you in the coming years." And then I get this choice. And I can tell Aldous that I will, or I can tell him she needs you, right? And by telling him that she needs you, I get a little bit more of a tidbit of the story and how the story is going to play out further down the road than what I would probably if I just said, fine, it's okay. You get so much, I don't know, you just feel as if you're part of it. I genuinely don't know if that makes sense to anyone in chat. But it feels like you're part of the story. It feels like you are the story. It feels like if you're not in the game, the story isn't going anywhere. The story is basically just standing still, because without you, there is no story. And they do something that pissed me the fuck off in the beginning that I'm now actually starting to really enjoy. They have this whole cinematic way. Whenever you talk to characters that's important to the story, it goes into the sort of cinematic view where they show the character that you're speaking to, and then they show you answering questions that the character is asking you. It's still a little bit weird because there's no voice acting in a lot of the quests, so it's eerily silent, but those moments add a bit of urgency to them. It adds importance that wasn't there before, which I absolutely fucking adore when it comes to Final Fantasy XIV at the moment. And these weren't things that I liked at the beginning, just things that grew on me as time went past. As I played more and as I got higher level, I started to feel more important to the game without ever losing that you are still a servant in many ways, right? While yes, you are powerful and yes, you have all of these abilities, you are still very much a servant within the world. You're not just how can I put this? You're not just along for the ride, you are the ride, and you determine where this ride is going to go, which I think was absolutely, I would say, I've never played SWATer, but I would say it's similar. It is like a cross between the two. You don't have as much player agency as what I've gathered from people telling me about SWATer as you do in, like, you don't have as much agency in Final Fantasy, but you do have agency. You are involved in the story. The story is very much about you, right? And your journey as you're trying to fix things, as you're trying to put things back into perspective, as you're trying to stop the primals. For example, by the way, I've just now learned about the primals in Final Fantasy, thanks to the sign of the Seventh Dawn. I'm hooked. I need to know who these fucking scions are, who these fucking primals are. They are a race of godlike beings. Well, they're not one particular race, not one single race, but they are godlike beings that would want nothing more than the destruction of Eorzea, right? Eorzea is the world that you're playing in. And I don't know anything about them. I literally don't know anything about the primals, but I am obsessed with them. And I've only just learned about them, and I'm already going, fuck, I need to learn about these primals, because these primals seem really fucking interesting and really cool and really evil as well. Which is, I'm busy working on Ifrit now, I'm working on trying to get him out of the story. That's the dungeon that I'm going into soon, is unlocking Ifrit, or at least more of the story of Ifrit. I would say that the best thing about Final Fantasy is its pacing. The way the story is introduced and the way the game paces itself. At no point do you feel overwhelmed. At no point do you feel like, okay, I need to caveat this and say, when you first start, you feel stupidly, and I mean stupidly lost. There's so much shit in the beginning, and you're just sort of going, it was literally my face for like the first hour of playing the game. You can ask Alex. I was literally sitting here like this. I had no idea what I was doing. Like, half the stuff that they're introducing me, I'm like, what the fuck is all of this stuff? I don't know what this is. And I get so many pop-ups of helpful tips, and after reading the tip, I'm still like, that wasn't helpful at all. I still don't know where I am. But then you keep playing, and they actually slowly but surely introduce you to all of these things that you didn't know. So, for example, you have Levs. Lev something, which is like solo encounters, I guess. At least the ones that I've encountered so far. I had to go somewhere and kill some big mob, right? That was pretty fucking cool. And then you have guild Levs, which is group content. But it's like literally you go into a guild Lev and there's a couple of mobs. You kill a couple of mobs and then boom, big boss. And then you kill the big boss and you're done. Then you have dungeons, which they actually call open raids or raids or something like that. But you have these dungeons that's 4-man dungeons. And it seems, based on the duty finder, that there's a shit ton more things that you'll eventually start signing up for. It seems like they have an incredible amount of content that you can sign up for as time goes on. So it's really interesting and really cool to me. Just the pure amount of pacing that happens in this game. And it feels like you can actually tell that whoever designed this game understood what they were designing. They understood from the beginning what it was that they wanted players to feel like. Which is, it shows. As you're playing the game, it absolutely fucking shows. Hold My Shield, thank you for the 5 gifted subs, dude. Really fucking appreciate that. Thank you. Give me some love and chat for Hold My Shield and the 5 community subs. So yeah, I've been having a blast playing Final Fantasy. It's legitimately reached the point now where I'm in love with Final Fantasy. Like, I want to play more. Hold my shield. How you doing, bro? I'm assuming that most of you in the chat plays Final Fantasy. Cask, I would not play this game on stream. I am having too much fun to play the game on stream. And not to be, like, this is not... I'm already recording myself playing the game. I'm already recording myself playing the game for the video that we're making, the first impressions of Final Fantasy. But if I streamed the game, I would not be able to pay attention to the game the same way that I am now. Because I go completely quiet. Whenever there's a story... Like, whenever I'm reading something because they're talking to each other and they're telling me what I need to be doing, I go completely quiet. I'm just reading everything that they're saying. CJ, how are you doing? Merriman does. I sort of absorb it via him. I've mostly played WoW for all these years, but thinking of a Switch. I literally just made the Switch. So I could, in a month from now, make another video and tell you guys this is the shittest game I've ever fucking played. Right? It's entirely possible. I literally just started playing. I'm only level 29 or 28. So there's still a lot of stuff that has to happen for me before I will even get to the good parts of the game. But right now, I am having an absolute blast playing Final Fantasy. My answer to your question on YouTube, well, this month, the patch 9.1 on the PTR will be 3 months old. I reckon end of June or so, we should get the launch date. Digit, before you continue, I know which date it is. And now that we have more people in, how many people want to know what date currently is the pre-patch for, or the patch 9.1? You guys want to know? No, it's not 2040. Thank fuck for that, but it's not. All right, so currently the in-house the in-house date that they've set is that it will be announced on July the 9th and it will launch July the 20th. That's currently what my sources are telling me. Now, this can change. Please keep that in mind. Blizzard have changed it before. Yeah, so basically within a month. Within just over a month from now, you'll be able to play, you'll get into Shadowlands 9.1. The Grimoire of Shadowlands? Probably just after the Grimoire of Shadowlands, yes. Remember, it's not outside the realm of possibility that this game could still get pushed back, right? I don't know if they will. I don't think they will. But there is always the opportunity, and this is what my source told me as well, there is always the opportunity that Blizzard announces they're pushing it back. So they're going to need more time before patch 9.1 is ready. The question, of course, becomes, will they actually do that? And how much will that hurt? Because the only way I can see Blizzard getting away with announcing that they're pushing back Shadowlands 9.1 is if they then also announce, listen here, we've listened to your feedback and we've decided that we're changing Torghast from the ground up. We're going to make it endless. We're going to give you the experience that you wanted. We're going to remove Soul Ash from Torghast. We're also making a fundamental change to Renown and the Covenants, and therefore we need more time. I don't see how players would forgive them another delay unless they announce something huge with patch 9.1. How many of you think there is an even remote possibility of that happening? Not happening. Why do you guys think there's no chance of that happening? Will that happen? They need it for the quarterly earnings of delay. Yep. Possibility of that change. No. They can't announce a delay without that change, because just another delay will not sit with players. If they will push back, but if they delay, they will lose more people. Well, this is where we get into a rather interesting discussion. What is worse? Delaying and then releasing an absolute perfect patch 9.1 that fixes all of the problems of Shadowlands? Or launching a broken patch 9.1 and then hoping that 9.2 fixes the problems of Shadowlands? What's worse? What's the best possible option there? Still be broken regardless of delay. I think it has to be in mid-July. Any later than July, they will just they will just won't recover. Ericini, as I've already explained, it is July 20th. This is right now the date that they have internally, at least, as when it's happening. For us players, we don't mind the wait as long as the content is good, but devs for the past few years have taken the other path. Look, here's the thing. If Blizzard was honest from day one that they are behind schedule, that they have a lot of things to fix, right now, I think the vast majority of anger comes from Blizzard again not being honest with the player base. Not just coming out and saying, listen here, yeah, we fucked up, we apologize. We're gonna try and fix it. That would immediately get a lot of players going, okay, take your time. We're fine. We can wait. Subdrop is less from actual players leaving and more from multi-boxing being effectively erased, causing tons of people to cancel their redundant accounts. Community perception will run it into the ground. Rhinos, then I think you're overestimating the amount of multi-boxers that exist. Blizzard would never have made the decision to fuck over multi-boxers if it was a massive, massive boon to their quarterly results. You think Bobby Kotick would go, no, change this so that the players feel better, we'll lose the money? You really think Bobby Kotick would be okay with the change to fuck over the money? No. I think there's far fewer... Look, I genuinely don't think there's as many multi-boxes as you think there are. Even if it takes another 2 months, just make interesting content. We as players can play other games to keep ourselves entertained, but Blizzard as a company feels as if we play other games, we won't come back. Bobby was wholesome and for the community a few weeks ago. He is, of course, but also the community loves when Blizzard makes money, don't we? Ever since BFA and the way their systems were made around prolonging subs, like the corruption rotation vendor, in my opinion, they are now making the game around profits and not good gameplay. So no, they won't prolong this patch. Brune, so here's my thing. I don't know if that's true, because for that to happen, it would mean that Ian and the team are told what they're allowed to put into the game and what not. Oh, I have no problem with Blizzard making as much money. Look, if Blizzard doubled their income to $4 billion per quarter, and they were making the best game in the history of the world, I'd be like, yeah, fuck, bro. Sky's the limit. Make as much money as you possibly want. Let me play what I'm paying for. So time gating is one of those things that I can see areas where time gating is a good thing, right? I just think the way that Blizzard handles time gating is oftentimes horrendous. So Blizzard oftentimes handles, with most things in the game, it's so forced. Like, there's no actual reason for the time gate. We don't get an actual explanation for why the time gate exists. It's not as if, so for example, I get it. We need time to reinforce, right? We need reinforcements. So therefore, we're going to need an extra week before we can actually make a move on the next big target. But then why don't you give me quests to actually go get those reinforcements? Why don't you give me daily quests to actually bolster our ranks? And then once the next week comes round, I feel like I actually helped. The problem with World of Warcraft time gating is that it feels so forced, it feels so unnatural that it breaks the fourth wall. Don't believe a dev sitting down thinking this is so much in favor of the player and respecting their time. Brune, you'd be surprised if the developers thought this was a good idea. And based on everything that developers are doing now, they think this is a good idea. I would consider it time gating if there was an interactive explanation to it. I agree with you, Catalytic Flow. I think no one would, right? Because we would actually realize that, oh, I'm now doing a bunch of things to help out, and then we're going to do the next big push, right? Dido, thank you for the 1 sub. Really fucking appreciate that. 2 months in a row. Thank you, thank you, thank you. How you doing, Dido? I personally think it's so difficult to try and figure out why the developers feel the way that they do, right? It's impossible to know why the developers feel the way that they do, because I think sometimes it's very easy for us to blame Activision. Snubby, how you doing, bro? I think it's sometimes so easy for us to blame Activision for everything that goes wrong within Blizzard Entertainment. But then if you listen to how Ian and the team defamed some of their decisions, is it really fucking Activision's fault? And I'm not talking about the fact that they're defending it. Of course, almost every developer would defend the decisions that was made if it was made by a higher up. What I'm talking about is how they defend it. If you listen to Ian talking about conduit energy, for example, his defense of conduit energy is so fucking devoid of the problem that players have with conduit energy that you do get the feeling Ian doesn't even understand the context of the problem with conduit energy. So how in the fuck is he ever going to fix it? He doesn't even understand the problem. Because his explanation for why the fix exists doesn't even explain the fucking problem. So is that truly then Activision's fault? Bad feedback, so they willingly make things harder for the players, getting buttered over the mistakes. I think there's a lot of ego involved within Blizzard Entertainment at the moment. I think there's a lot of times where the players want something and the developers just can't allow their ego to go, maybe the players have a point. Think it's a problem at all, so he gives a generic answer to which we can't give any feedback. The problem is, so nothing pisses me off more than whenever I hear the words constructive criticism. Do not just be negative. Give us constructive criticism. And I think to myself, as a player, so not as a content creator, because there's a different onus on me as a content creator. As a player, it's not my fucking job to give you constructive criticism. My only job is to tell you I don't like this. Erosine, thank you very much for the 2 sub, dude. Really fucking appreciate that. Welcome to the Fat Fuckers Club. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Erosine, thank you so much. I really appreciate that, bro. Most players don't know why they don't like certain things, right? I can tell you right now, there are things in World of Warcraft that I just don't like. I can't really word why I don't like those things. They just don't feel fun to me. Torghast is probably one of the best examples of this. I don't have an incredible problem with Torghast, but there are things in Torghast that I don't find fun. I can't necessarily put my finger on why those specific things aren't as much fun to me. I can think of ways to fix Torghast to the point where I would have fun in Torghast, but if you ask me, Barakalon, why don't you like the current Torghast? It's very difficult to tell you that's the thing. Like, I can give you a bunch of things that I don't like, but when you ask me what's the one thing that we could do to fix modern day or the current Torghast, what are you talking about? That's not my job. I don't get paid for this. If you really want me to give you those answers, pay me. This is why I say it as a player, not as a content creator. As a content creator, it's part of my job because in a way you guys pay me to think up constructive criticisms. So whenever I make a video, I can't just sit here and go, well, fuck Blizzard, right? Because that's not why you're paying me. You're paying me to actually think about the problem and come up with some kind of a solution that we can all agree on, or at least we can have an opinion on and we can maybe discuss. So whenever Lore or any of the people at World of Warcraft says things like, if you guys give us constructive criticism, I just think to myself, why? If a player tells you conduit energy is shit, you don't need constructive criticism. Your job is to design the fucking game. His job is to enjoy the game that you design. If they don't like the game that you design, that's all the criticism you need. It means that fucking fix the thing. They don't like the thing, right? Garrosh Gaming, thank you so much for gifting a tier 1 sub, dude. Really fucking appreciate that. Can we some love in chat for Garrosh Gaming? Garrosh joining us here. Really happy to have you, Garrosh. You did nothing wrong, by the way. You know, for me, it's just like, when did I join the fucking team? Right? It's like, I didn't sign up to become a developer. My job is to play the game. Your job is to develop the game. So you make the game fun, I'll play the game, we'll all have fun. Right? You get the money, I get my time. So I don't know necessarily if I would blame Activision for that. I don't think Activision is the only one to blame for these things. Gareth, thank you for the follow. Really fucking appreciate that, bro. Lochtar Ogar. As far as I read and hear, people have been blaming Activision for everything wrong from Cataclysm till present. I mean, I do get it. There are a lot of bad decisions from Activision's side, but deep into WoW, I don't think they should be blamed. Really, I like to think that it's devs' ego for not listening to what the players are saying. I think blaming Activision gives the developers an escape that they don't deserve. Fact of the matter is, the same reasons why we are currently complaining about BFA has existed since Legion. Legion did a couple of things correctly that saved it from all of those criticisms. But Legion had also an abundance of systems, and these systems became worse in BFA and then even worse in Shadowlands. All of this was when Ian took over development. So, is it Activision or may it be Ian? Maybe Ian has some kind of, and I'm not saying fire Ian. Let's be very fucking clear. I'm not saying let's fire Ian. What I'm saying is Ian has this idea of what World of Warcraft should look like. And it doesn't matter whether the players agree with the idea that Ian has in his head for what the game should look like. They keep barreling down this idea, right? This is the idea that they're going to have, and this is what players are going to do, and players are going to love these things. And whenever players say, but we don't like these things, it's as if the developers just go, well, we'll just make you like them. Because you don't seem to understand why you should like them, we'll make you like them. Kazragor, how you doing, bro? That's the idea that I'm getting right now. Ian seems to be playing a different kind of World of Warcraft than the rest of us do. And that's not necessarily a good thing. Some devs are just out of touch with the fan base, unlike Final Fantasy, where they can hear their fan base is pissed off. To be honest, and business customer should always be right, because they are the ones that are consuming your product. I don't necessarily, Arizona, so I 100% agree with you. Except for the fact I don't necessarily think the customer is always right. There are times where the customer is a fucking moron, right? And you should also be able to identify when your customer is just a fucking moron, right? And whatever they say shouldn't necessarily be what you take to heart. But I agree with your premise. 100% agree with your premise. A developer should always listen to the feedback of the player, even when a player says it's shit. That's not bad feedback. That could be very helpful feedback, Because if it's shit, make it fucking better. So yeah, I genuinely think there are times where I look at what Blizzard is doing and I think to myself, why? Why are we going down this route again? And especially if I'm looking at something like Final Fantasy and all of the things that Final Fantasy is doing right, which is incredible. If I listen to the people that's been playing Final Fantasy for a very long time, it is unreal how much the players of Final Fantasy love that game. If you talk to players who play Final Fantasy, they're in love with that game. Every fucking expansion that comes out from Yoshi P and the team, people praise. People are like, oh my god, I love this. This is the greatest expansion ever. It just keeps getting better. Just keeps getting better. They just keep fucking coming up with new things that blow us away. And you look at World of Warcraft, and don't tell me that World of Warcraft is too old and this is why it's happening. Bullshit. Bullshit. You can't tell me that a game as popular as World of Warcraft can't turn it around and come back to what actually works. Anyways, I don't want to sit here and waste all of your time with my ranting and raving. We have some news that needs to be discussed. Good from the casual perspective. I think the game is fine from a casual perspective, Stefan. I don't necessarily think the game is good from a casual perspective, because there's far more things that you can do for the casual player base that would be a lot more fun for the casual. So, yeah, I genuinely don't think that it's good. I don't think there's much in World of Warcraft. The only thing that's good about World of Warcraft is some of their ideas. It's very good. The execution of almost every single idea from World of Warcraft is almost always bad. And I really hope the Blizzard can turn that around. But anyways, we do have some news. We do have some shit to discuss here. This was just data mined. This was data mined 9 hours ago. Anduin's compass and in-game cutscene model has been data mined. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, Akalon, why is this important? Well, there's a couple of things about Anduin that I think a lot of us have been thinking about, a lot of us have been wondering about. I guess my first sort of question, so myself and Apocalypse had this conversation during the Lovecraft episode. It is the compass that he got from his father. Yes, the one that the Alliance players brought to him. Catalytic Flaw. Apocalypse is of the belief that we will only learn about Anduin's fate, so how Anduin ended up where he is now, in the book, Sylvanas. The book Sylvanas will tell us why Anduin is now the tool of the jailer, so to speak. I don't think so. I think it's going to be revealed in this cinematic. However, the compass that's also been data mined that is going to be in the cinematic might introduce a new player to the game. Well, not a new player, someone that's been there for a long time and then died at the beginning of Legion. Dido, the Sylvanas one comes out in November. Now, here's my question. Yes, Varian. Will we see, because Varian died, and arguably, unless of course my speculation is correct, and Varian actually is in the Twisting Nether, but if my speculation is wrong, which it probably is, what we're looking at here is Varian is somewhere within the Shadowlands, right? His soul is somewhere within the Shadowlands. What if this cinematic is Varian trying to save his son with the use of this compass? Because this compass has a lot of influence over Anduin. Remember, Anduin's entire life, he has wanted to live up to his father's greatness. He has always looked up to his father, and he wanted his father to notice him. And in many ways, he had such an effect on Varian, right? Where he taught Varian that there is a time for peace, and Varian, of course, taught him that there is a time for war. So the question becomes, why is the compass there? why is the compass there? Now, of course, I have a sort of weird speculation theory about this that I'm not necessarily sure if it's true or not, but let's just quickly do this. Let's do this because I want to show you guys this. In the cinematic, there's a moment that sort of convinces me that something might be up. Something weird may be happening.
Despite all our efforts, the Maw continues to grow. What if Denathrius' treachery is irreparable? The Primus is lost, and Bastion cannot save the Shadowlands alone.
None of this should have happened.
Perhaps the Winter Queen could...
My Archon.
What if... A lot of you have asked me, and it's gonna come up again. If this ever makes it to a video, there's gonna be a lot of you that ask this question again. Him asking, perhaps the Winter Queen can, and then they get interrupted. What if he was going to ask if the Winter Queen could bargain on their behalf? We know that Zuvul hates the Winter Queen, but it could also be that the Winter Queen is the only one that has some sort of power over him. Like maybe some sort of influence over him. I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying it could be. There's a possibility of this, right? Now, I'll show you the end. It's at the end of the cinematic, but I love the cinematic, so we're going to watch the whole thing. And if you don't want to watch the whole thing, now's the time to go make some coffee or something.
A living soul seeks an audience.
A mortal?
A king. By all our measures, one who has spent his life striving for justice. One who would give anything.
By all their measures, remember that that's important. By all our measures, spent his life striving for justice. They've measured him. They've obviously tested him. They've wanted to make sure that this is Anduin, the king.
To serve his people. One whose heart is true.
Very well. He may approach. Step forward. My Ascended have spoken of you. The king, held captive in the Maw.
That prison could not hold me forever.
Why have you come to Bastion?
You have a key that I need.
You will release this soul from your grasp.
No.
Hold on. Keep watching.
He is bound to me.
Just as you once sought to bind your own brother.
Okay, there's something right here that I want to point out that's very interesting about what Zuvul says here. No, he is bound to me, just like you once sought to bind your own brother. If I'm reading this correctly, and you can tell me if you don't agree with this, they didn't just banish Zuvul. They didn't just banish him. They used him. Their domination magic wasn't simply to keep him in the Maw. No. They dominated him. He does say, no, he is bound to me, just as you once sought to bind your own brother.
3 keys remain.
That face. Remember we said this before. That face bothered the living shit out of me. Right? I've always wondered about Sylvanas' reaction here. Looking at Anduin, not being sure what to think. Because in many ways, what they're doing to Anduin right now is exactly what was done to her. They are controlling him. Now, if we go back to the compass, this is not necessarily a theory. I'm just throwing it out there for all of you. But here's a big brain thought, if you will. What if Anduin agreed? What if Anduin, the moment that Sylvanas, and we can actually do, let's do this. For fuck's sake. I want World of Warcraft stuff. Oh my god. Why am I getting all sorts of other bullshit? Do you guys want to watch this whole cinematic or just the part that I want to show you? It's your choice. You can decide. I have a specific part that I want to show you, but we can watch the whole thing or we can just watch the part that I want to show you. We currently have a tie. I'm going to need someone to break the tie. Only the part. Okay. It's towards the end here.
We must endure. We can't even choose who we couldn't control anything. But through the jailer, control of our fate will at last be possible.
Look around you! At what and who you've joined. What makes you believe you're not just a weapon to achieve his ends?
You have a choice to consider. Join us willingly, or be made to serve.
All right. So Sylvanas gives him a choice here. Join us willingly, or be made to serve. We don't see what happens after this, right? Blizzard does not show us what comes after this. Now, the normal response from everyone that knows anything about World of Warcraft and anyone that knows anything about Anduin is he was made to serve, right? I think, is there anyone that disagrees with that? Like, off the cuff, your immediate answer is, yeah, they forced him. They turned him into a vessel. They dominated him. Could be a bait and switch. Here's what I think happened. Here's what I think this cinematic is going to show us. Oh, for fuck's sake, just give me the right one.
Grasp. He may approach.
This is Anduin. The Anduin, the king. No domination, no control, no nothing. This is Anduin. He agreed. He told Sylvanas that he has a different plan. His plan isn't going to involve killing. His plan isn't going to involve the mass slaughtering of everyone. I believe that this is Anduin. They tested him. They looked at his heart. How could the jailer hide himself? Surely they would have picked up something. She says that his heart is pure. So the only way Anduin could get in is if there was no control on him. If this was truly Anduin. But then things change, and I think the reason they change is because the jailer does not believe that Anduin will go through with it. Or perhaps the jailer sees that Anduin wants to do something else. He wants to strike a deal or make a bargain, or God knows what Anduin wants to do, and this is the moment that the jailer takes over.
Step forward. My Ascended have spoken of you. The king held captive in the Maw.
That prison could not hold me forever.
I believe this is still Anduin. That prison could not hold me forever.
Why have you come to Bastion?
You have a key that I need.
Now, you could argue that this is not Anduin. The anger on his face could very much be the result of the expressions through the jailer. I'm 100% on board with that. But none of that explains this face. If that is true, right? If Anduin is indeed, at this point, controlled, then why is Sylvanas acting the way that she is here?
3 keys remain. Then
Why is she bothered by this? She did this to him. She was part of the group that did this to him. Why would Anduin now, being under the full control of the jailer, bother her? She's literally the one who did it. It's possible that they didn't tell him the whole plan either. Of course that is possible. That's a face of hate and anger. Anduin would have no reason to act in that manner to the Archon. Depends on what he was told. Depends on what he learned. Right? Because remember, Devos, thanks to the jailer's words, Devos finally saw the flaw in their plan. There's much that could have happened. The reason I say there's much that could have happened, what if the jailer showed him where his father went upon death? And what if where his father went isn't a good place? What if the jailer showed Anduin just how corrupt the Shadowlands actually is? Do you not think that would change Anduin's mind? Do you not think that would make Anduin follow? Well, yeah. The jailer changed Devos' mind. Devos, who was once a loyal servant of the Kyrian. The jailer changed her mind. So all the jailer needed to do here is show Anduin what happened to his father. The fact that this compass is going to be in the next cinematic that involves Anduin dressed like this may show us how Anduin turned. Isn't there a leak where we go into Torghast and go into a room filled with souls of valuable people? Valorant, I've not seen anything like that. I might have missed it, but I haven't seen anything like that. It's not popped up on Reddit for me, at least. And I read it every single day because I love leaks, but I haven't seen anything yet. I'm not saying that it is true. I'm not saying that this is exactly what happened, right? But you can't dismiss it either. Be honest. As you're sitting there, you can't wholeheartedly, with a clear conscience, sit there and go, no, that didn't happen. That's bullshit. Didn't happen. Because do you believe that if the jailer showed Anduin where Varian went, and remember, just very quickly, Sylvanas did tell Anduin about Varian and the Rins before him. Maybe Sylvanas knows something that Anduin doesn't. In the cinematic,
I do hope you've settled in. The accommodations are a bit sparse, I know.
Where are the others? Are they safe?
Safe? No. I wouldn't say any of them are safe.
I am so tired of your games.
As you wish. No more secrets. No more lies. You
Lock and
are
Ox,
a
all
weapon
thing, don't
we
worry.
will use to achieve our ends.
I will not become an instrument of death.
So you favor life. Is that it? That momentary flicker. Every cruel second spent delaying the inevitable in an endless war that you, like every Rin before you, will not survive.
In a war that you, like every Rin before you, will not survive. Now, just to go back, just to rewind a little bit, if you haven't read Before the Storm, this won't make a lot of sense to you, but if you did read Before the Storm, you will know that there is a passage within Before the Storm where Sylvanas looks back at the beach as Varian is dying, and it actually makes her sad. Sylvanas had an incredible amount of respect for Varian Wren. She truly saw him as an equal, as an ally. In many ways, I have speculated in the past, Seven Raven, how you doing? But I've speculated in the past that it may have been the death of Varian Wren that pushed her over the edge. That may have been the moment that Sylvanas said, you know what, fuck this. This is enough. I've had enough of this bullshit. Because that was a very impactful moment for Sylvanas when Varian Wren took his final breath. Now, if Sylvanas truly cared this much, do you not think she would have done some due diligence to find out where Varian Wren went upon his death? Like where he would have ended up upon his death? Now, we haven't seen him yet. So it stands to reason that he must be somewhere that we can't peer into. He must have been sent somewhere that isn't one of the 4 realms. Do you truly think that Sylvanas wouldn't use that as a ploy to convince Anduin that they're on the right path, that they are fighting for what is right? Saying this is a person such as Varian too. Massey, it would literally all depend on just how corrupt the Shadowlands actually is. Like, we don't know, right? We are told that the Shadowlands is all about the purpose, and it's a just place where justice always presents itself and where justice always wins. But the jailer doesn't seem to think so. When he spoke to Devos and explained the things that happened to Devos, she definitely didn't agree. Devos so much disagreed that she went after her own Archon. So the question becomes, just how corrupt is the Shadowlands? What exactly is going on within the Shadowlands? To what extent can we trust the purpose, and can we trust the Arbiter? And is there a chance that all of this is very much connected? I don't know the answer to that, but I do think that it's an interesting thing to think about. I don't think it's just broken, Seven Raven. There's definitely more to the Shadowlands than just it being broken. There's definitely more to the Shadowlands than it just being broken. If it was just broken, they would have wanted to fix it. The fact is that they don't want to fix it. They want to tear it down. There is no good guy in the Shadowlands, in my opinion. I think it's just a matter of the lesser of two evils. Well, that would be true for every cosmological force. in our universe. There's no such thing as good or evil. I had a question the other day. Someone asked me, do I believe that the old gods are good? And the answer is no. I don't think they're bad either. I don't think the light is good or evil. I don't think the foul is good or evil. It's good or evil is mortal concerns. It's things that mortals concern themselves with. In the eyes of gods, right, there is no such thing as good or evil. It's just what my will is, whatever I think is right. The way I've explained it in the past and the way I think is the best to explain it, do you view yourself as evil when you step on an ant? Like, be honest. Do you even notice all the ants that you step on? From the perspective of the ant, you're very evil. You just killed him. From your perspective, the ant doesn't even matter. You didn't even see the fucking ant. Unless, of course, you're... what do they call themselves? It's like an Asian religion. Jains or something like that. I think it's the followers, the Jains followers or something like that. They don't kill anything. Like, they refuse to. They'll even walk around ants to make sure that they don't kill anything. But if you're just a normal human being, right? An ant is just a fucking ant and it doesn't matter, right? Now, if you're a god in the World of Warcraft universe, if you're a titan or an old god, you look at mortals as ants. They don't matter. What matters is you. The fact that the Shadowlands is built and the fact that we're told that it's a place of it's a just place to be, it's a just afterlife, that's bullshit. They don't care about just. Now, I mean, anything can happen here, right? Anything can happen. And the story can still change so many ways from Sunday. But there is a massive twist coming very, very soon. And I think everyone knows it. If you look at where 9.1 is, we spoke about it earlier in the stream. 9.1, on the face of it, feels like it should be the final patch of the expansion, not the first patch of the expansion. 9.1 being the first patch of the expansion tells us that something's afoot. Something big that we still don't know about, but something is going to happen. It's kind of ironic. Elsavanus and the Jailer are not asking us whether we want this freedom of choice. St. Michael, they haven't had the chance yet, so they might yet give us this choice. I'll show him how much I matter when I beat his ass with 39 other raiders. 39? How are you going to do a 40-man raid? But what if these people have coronavirus? Would they want to... I don't know. Would they want to kill the coronavirus inside of them? They adapted their narrative to appeal to the mortal souls that they're farming. Yes. They've adapted it to the point where we look at it and we think, oh, this is great. Right? But I don't believe that narrative is real. I hate Anduin. I hate all about him. He's nothing like his father. A pussy boy, insecure, and now a tool. No surprise there. I don't necessarily think so. I think Anduin's story is getting very interesting. Like fighting Deathwing's foot in the raid. Probably bigger than that even. The question is, there are many realms in the Shadowlands. Who is ruling them, ordering them? If the core of the Shadowlands is ruled by the purpose, what about those unknown realms? War Puppy, so we don't know, right? We don't know if every single one of those realms would even have an eternal one on them. The chances are that they don't, right? The chances are that only the realms that matter to the system of the Shadowlands has an eternal one attached to it. The other realms are realms that exist simply in perpetuity to send some of the souls that does not fit into the ultimate realm, right? The ultimate system. It seems like they only select the souls that they really care about to go to one of the 4 realms. The other souls are sort of cast away into other realms that doesn't matter and that they're not going to pay much attention to. So there's every reason to believe that, even on that note, that the Shadowlands doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Maybe they'll have generals, but even then, if you look at Korthia, for example, Korthia does not accept any souls. It is the City of Secrets, so it plays a very important part to the Shadowlands, and therefore its removal. Or its sort of disguise from the rest of the Shadowlands. But there's also no real big boss that defends Korthia, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. If Korthia truly is as important as they say it is, then you would expect some kind of army or a general or something to watch over it, to ensure that it doesn't fall into the hands of the jailer. What? Thank you for the tier 1 sub. I really fucking appreciate that. 7 months in a row. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Really appreciate that, bro. So at the end of the day, there's, at least to my mind, there's a lot that needs to be revealed within the Shadowlands. Which, personally, I can't fucking wait. Like, genuinely, I can't wait for the next big reveal. Maybe it was got up by Maldraxxi, but they died. They died off when Korthia was lost. But was Korthia truly ever lost? I mean, surely these Eternal Ones could travel there if needs be, right? Then Embrace Warlock, thank you for the follow. Really fucking appreciate that. Welcome to the channel, bro. St. Michael, thank you for the tier 1 sub. Did really fucking appreciate that. Welcome to the Fat Fuckers Club. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So I am in agreement that the Shadowlands may have once been a single continent. I do not believe that Oribos belongs there. I don't think that Oribos was part of the Shadowlands years and years and eons ago. But I can believe that it was once one big continent, and that continent somehow got corrupted, got changed, got torn apart. Something happened to it, right? But this is more based on logic. Why would you have a realm that's split into a bunch of different realms if all of the realms have the same sort of goal? Wouldn't it then just make sense to be sort of one continent and work together rather than being these individual places that you have to fucking travel to, right? But then again, that could also have been set up as a safety net to ensure that these realms couldn't be conquered as one. Again, I don't really have much of a for or against that argument. It's kind of like a big fucking sword jammed in the middle and broke it, and just the shaft is left there hanging. I mean, the big sword, I don't think it's Argeris' sword. True Primus did get to Korthia though. Well, the Primus would have been in Korthia. I think every single one of the Eternal Ones would have been in Korthia at one point, at one time or another. I do know what you mean, Seven Raven. The Shadowlands are infinite. Bolvar in 2019. The Shadowlands feature overview cinematic, but we get to play 5 zones. Well, that's because the rest of them don't matter to us. But if you look at the theory that we just came up with, the rest of the realms may be the thing that actually sparked Anduin into action. Do you guys want some good news? Not just bad news, but we do have some good news. If you want good news. I don't know. Do you guys prefer the negative, always negative stuff, or do you want some good news? Always good news? With all unknown beings being tortured, but Primus, as of PTR, hid his sigil in Korthia. Well, yes, but that was before he was captured, and we don't know how long he's been captured for either. Give it to me raw. Good. Good evening, all. And Jockey, how you doing, bro? Hey, Depressed Warlock. First time chat from viewer. It's speculated that Maldraxxus is a sort of creature. Depressed Warlock, thank you very much for writing in chat. Really fucking appreciate it. I didn't know that Twitch actually now highlighted things like that, but I do appreciate it. So we sort of spoke about this a long time ago. The fact that the Maldraxxi is a creature that they built Maldraxxus on, just goes to show how the Shadowlands may have been corrupted or changed. So in other words, they came in and they took some of the beings that was there, some of the worlds that was there, and they sort of took control of those beings, if that makes sense. So the Maldraxi may have been one of the creatures that sort of roamed the great the in-between, and it was slaughtered to ensure that they could build Maldraxxus, and we know why Maldraxxus would need to be living, or at least an enslaved living creature. Because the Primus literally designed Maldraxxus to be a realm that could change at will. So Maldraxxus would change depending on what thing they were preparing for. So if they were preparing for war, they could change the whole of Maldraxxus to look like the place that they were going to go to battle to, so that they could practice and sort of plan their attacks. This is something that that Maldraxxus has, a quality that it has that no other realm has. But anyways, on to the good news for all of you that care about good news, and I do believe that this is good news. Welcome to a new global Battle.net. This is the official announcement from Blizzard Entertainment. So we'll go through the announcement and then I'll give you my thoughts. We're breaking down barriers. We've always envisioned Battle.net as a place for players to connect, collaborate, and play their favorite games. Now, we're realizing that dream on a truly global level. When Battle.net first came out, the purpose was to deliver a connected multiplayer experience for a single title, says Aaron Goolsby, VP of Platform Engineering for Battle.net. Fast forward 10 to 15 years, and Battle.net had evolved into a service that spanned all Blizzard games, but was still constructed with the primary notion that players would mostly play with others within their region. The internet has come a long way in the last 10 years, enabling global and cross-platform experiences with high levels of quality. So now, Battle.net is evolving once again. Now, first thoughts here. How many of you think that this might be the start of Blizzard actually introducing mega servers to World of Warcraft? So let's be clear. This change doesn't necessarily have to affect World of Warcraft. They could be doing this for Overwatch. They could be doing this for Hearthstone. They could be doing this for a bunch of different games. It doesn't have to affect World of Warcraft. But here's why I think this is a brilliant move. And if Blizzard were to extract this to World of Warcraft, it would go a very long way to, I think, excite a lot of players. Right? It would go a very long way to excite a lot of players, but also hopefully to retain a lot of players. I think we can all agree that the idea of regions and realms within a game these days is very outdated. Think about the last time you actually encountered a new game that sort of restricted you to one specific region and you can't play wherever the fuck you wanted to play. I mean, it seems very archaic. There was a time where that was sort of important, right? There was a time where if you played on the EU servers from NA, your ping would be so high that you would actually fuck up everyone else that tried to play. There was a time where these things could happen, but nowadays, the vast majority of people, I can play on the NA realms and have a pretty good experience of it, and I'm from South Africa, right? So at the end of the day, we live in a world that's more connected than ever before. World of Warcraft seems to be one of the only final bastions. I believe even in Final Fantasy, you can swap realms if you want, right? If I wanted to go play on a different realm, I believe I'm allowed to do so. I'm not entirely sure. I could be speaking completely out of my ass here because I haven't tried it yet. I'm on my realm and I like my realm. But I believe that you can swap realms if you want to, right? I know there's crossplay in Final Fantasy. The only problem I have with the global servers is the lag. Well, sweetie, it doesn't necessarily have to be lag. Even in Black Desert, you can move their so-called realms for free and play with anyone. World of Warcraft sits currently with a tremendous amount of problems, right? one of the big problems that they sort of always run into is the dying out of smaller rounds. This happens almost every single year. We'll, at least once a year, we'll have Blizzard having to, I guess you could say, change things around, right? So Blizzard has to figure out which realm is now going to be connected to which realm, because there's always one or two realms that is basically dying. The players have either left for bigger realms, or some of the players have quit, and that puts some of the realms in a very tough spot where those realms can't actually solve, like they can't raid, they can't actually do any of the content because there's not enough active people to do those things. So here's my big brain thought on this. The only way Blizzard can fix this, to my mind, is the introduction of mega servers. These would be a single server for EU, a single server for NA. And before you go, wow, what about all the lag? Blizzard already have sharding. Sharding will allow them to add as many people to a single server as they fucking want. You'll just not see everyone in in the city, right? You'll just see the people that is allowed on your shard, and everyone else will sort of be just hidden from you. So it should not affect any sort of lag. What about the annoying languages? Well, many games do it, and they do very well, auto, without worrying about the annoying languages. Elder Scrolls Online has mega servers, and people just join guilds with people that speak the same language as them, and it's fine. So at the end of the day, Europe has a shit ton of languages. Regardless of the server that you're on in Europe, you're always going to encounter people that speak different languages to you. You just make it work, right? So at the end of the day, it's not going to be the end of the world playing with people that doesn't speak English, because you just won't play with them. You'll just find other people that speak English so that you can play with them. This is the only solution that I can see to that problem. Now, we could probably argue about how big of a problem is that really? Is it a problem that Blizzard would want to fix? Is it a problem that is required for Blizzard to fix? Personally, as someone that has both an NA and an EU account and pays both the subscription for my NA and my EU account, I would love this. I would love to no longer be able or required to pay 2 subscriptions, buy 2 fucking games, just so that I can play with people on NA. It should be as easy as me going, well, I'm going to log into NA now, and boom, I'm in NA, I can play the game. Now I'm going to log into EU, boom, I'm going to play the game. That's going to be great. It's going to allow people from completely dead servers to find guilds all over the world. Maybe you have a sort of weird job with weird times, but the raiding on NA is going to fit your time zone perfectly. Well, no problem. Just move over to NA and there you go. Does Blizz want to lose the money they get from round transfers? The Depressed Warlock, the question here always becomes, how much money does Blizzard actually get from round transfers? Right? That's almost always the biggest question. I guarantee you there's a lot of services on the shop that means nothing. Very few people ever engage in those services, and so those services tend to be in sort of... a good example of this is your ability to now gender change in the barber, right? You go to the barber, you can change your gender, you can basically change your entire appearance right at the barber. Why did Blizzard do this? My thinking is there weren't enough people paying for gender changes and paying for massive cosmetic changes to their characters. And so they just realized, well, this is a service that's barely ever getting used. We may as well incorporate it into the game. And I would argue that round transfers is very much a similar thing. I don't think the vast majority of the player base is transferring realm every other day to the point where they're making enough money that it even feels worth their time to have this as a service. The bigger question is, how much more players can they get if this becomes a thing? Now, of course, I will say, I believe, 100%, I believe that World of Warcraft is going to be announced very quickly on console. I believe that within probably the next expansion, I think at the end of next expansion, we're going to get the announcement that World of Warcraft, whatever the expansion is after the next one, will be launching on consoles. For anyone that thinks that's not possible, first and foremost, Blizzard have already released controller support for the game. Once you have controller support for the game, console is not a fucking big dream that can't be accomplished. You have controller support. The consoles can handle everything else, right? So there's no problems there anymore. Blizzard already have the expertise. If they really wanted to optimize World of Warcraft for consoles, they have people that work Overwatch consoles, Diablo consoles. They know how to do that. So it would be possible for them to just make the game and optimize it for consoles. Which is most likely how do you use the controller support. I tried and nothing. Crash the Fool, I've never really tried it, but I know people that do play with it. So it stands to reason that this is most likely going to be implemented at one point or another by Blizzard. I think they would be stupid not to, especially if they really want to optimize the amount of money that they make. Not having World of Warcraft on consoles makes no sense. Consoles have a very lower bar to entry than PCs do, and it would just allow Blizzard to basically double their player base almost instantly. Because you have a lot of people that no longer have PCs that can play Shadowlands, but would have a console that could do it, right? So I personally think this is something that would almost definitely happen within World of Warcraft. We are most likely going to see... So here we go. This is the changes that's actively happening. Starting today, friends lists from different territories will be merged into one. So you'll no longer need to switch regions in Battle.net to talk to your buddies on the other side of the planet. As global Battle.net rolls out, players around the world will be able to come together all across the larger Blizzard ecosystem without any hurdles for the first time ever, says Diana Hubbard. In doing so, they will be able to effortlessly expand their friendships, groups, and communities, paving the way for forging new bonds over our present and future epic gaming experiences. This is just the first step, and it will only get better from here. To accent this new era of global gaming and social connectivity on Battle.net, we've also updated our logo. We realized some time ago that our players would be better served by a global Battle.net that did away with the concept of regions, says Jeff Allison, lead product manager for Battle.net. But breaking down these barriers was a significant engineering task. Now that we've done it, we look forward to a future where all Battle.net players can communicate and game together, no matter where they are. Battle.net's global update also includes cross-platform functionality. This has given our game developers the ability to let you play with others between PC and console seamlessly. Again, this is a problem that could not have been solved prior to the updating of Battle.net. Now that Battle.net has the ability for crossplay, now that Battle.net has the ability to seamlessly basically connect all regions, this is a problem that World of Warcraft developers can now tackle and solve. Which is something that I think players have been asking for a long time, the ability to play with other regions. So I personally think this is something that Blizzard would have at least some incentive to do. And I have it on good authority from an actual Blizzard developer, then it's something that they've wanted to do for a very long time. There seems to be other issues with doing it as well, but it is definitely something that they would have liked to do at one point or another. As games published on Battle.net begin to utilize this evolved experience, we look forward to a future where billions of players worldwide can make friends and play together, regardless of where they are and what device they play on. These back-end updates to Battle.net will also enable developers to build even more globally connected experiences for our players in the future, so stay tuned. All of this excludes China. Of course it does, because if it didn't exclude China, what do you think would happen to all of us? Every single one of your chat blogs would be sent to the Communist Party of China so they could see if you're saying anything that would be considered unlawful. So China does not get to join the rest of the world on this new experience, which I think is good. It's sad that the Chinese people can't actually join the rest of the world, but the Chinese government is too fucking scumbag not to exclude them from it. Plus, I think they asked to be excluded most likely. But yeah, what are your thoughts? Do you guys like this change? Do you think this is a good change? Even if World of Warcraft doesn't get it for all of the other titles, do you think this is something that you're going to enjoy? Or do you not really give a shit? And all of the corpses would be covered in flesh? Oh yeah, because corpses are considered a bad omen, isn't it? Was in favor of opening more doors for more gameplay. I think it would be fun. Consider, you know, you have your main character in EU and you've done everything that there is to do in EU, and now you decide to start the second character on NA and you go play with some new people in NA. You know, you get to meet people from different cultures, see how people from different places do things. I can tell you, there's big differences between World of Warcraft EU and World of Warcraft NA. Not like driving nuts on it, just okay with it. Sounds like a good idea to me. I stopped playing on the Chinese server since Legion. It is filled with boost ads, and NetEase does not care at all. So which server do you play on now, Zigzags? Anything they're dictated seems not PG is banned, up to and including Winnie the Pooh, because he is a child. I mean, it's what communist governments do. I think the whole server thing needs to disappear. No reason when they shot everything anyways, just a money grab. Vorgol, I agree with you, but not even because of a money grab. I just think servers are completely useless, right? I do feel sorry though, like I said, for the Chinese people, because at the end of the day, they're the ones who suffer because their government keeps being difficult. And how's your time on NA been, Zigzags? I just think regions or realms is an archaic gesture. It's an archaic practice that no longer makes sense, right? Why? Why is it that every other game basically has a seamless switch between regions and realms? You can basically go play wherever you want. And yet, World of Warcraft seems to be... But now, there is one thing that should be one caveat. The World of Warcraft Blizzard developer seems to be impervious to fucking change. So it might be that every other game in World of Warcraft, in Blizzard's ecosystem, becomes integrated and you no longer need servers, and World of Warcraft will be the only game that still has servers. If I remember correctly, China have a rule that to a certain period of time you are not allowed to game or browse online. They do have limits, yes. It's part of your social score, I think. So you can only play for a certain amount of time, and then you have to stop playing. But I don't know exactly how all of that works. Pays by the hour? Yes, there's limits. I think it's 3 hours, wow, and then you're cut off. Bro, I can't imagine living in a place like that. I mean, my government is fucked up, but they don't even know what World of Warcraft is. So they won't be able to stop me from playing World of Warcraft. So, you know, I genuinely can't imagine living in a place where you have no control over your life. Like, everyone else makes decisions on your behalf. Just meant in terms of, like, this mythic system, you have to be on the same server until top 100. My guild on Illidan died, so I'm raiding with Nordrasil guild now. Can't use any of the provided resources unless I pay 32 Canadian dollars for server transfer. Vorgol, I see your point there. What a shitty land. China itself is a great country. It's beautiful. The people also, from what I've heard, and I've met a couple of Chinese people, are amazing people. It's just the government. Think you do, but you don't. Yeah, 3 hours straight, then at least 5 hours break. I mean, I would say 3 hours isn't even enough to really get in. Like, after 3 hours, you're only just getting started. Law says the children game, you cannot play that in the midnight, but that's irrelevant to the social credit, completely irrelevant. But there is a 3-day period of time in a year when you cannot play any game. Jesus, why not, 6-6? Can you tell us why is there 3 days in the year where you're not allowed to play? to remember an earthquake that happened a number of years ago in Sichuan and the people died there. I still think this is not a good idea. Wait, so in order to remember, no one is allowed to have any fun? Makes no sense. Let the people that want to remember that shit remember it. China and the people and the culture are awesome. Only the cancer of communism is the one should be replenished. Northern agreed. I've heard that most of these limits are to handle addiction because it's a very huge issue. Yeah, but if you want to solve addiction, perhaps don't fucking shit on your people. That would be a good idea. Give your people some freedom. Let them live. Then they won't get addicted to online video games. Although I know most people in China have VPNs and stuff. Yeah, no shamans are allowed to use Earthquake for those 3 days. The ones to invent VPNs? I don't know how. I don't know. Is WoW legal in China? Yes. Yes. I mean, there's no point in us even trying to discuss China as a country. I do feel, I know a couple of Chinese people and I feel very sorry for them, although every Chinese person I know except for Zexex escaped long ago. Like, actually, all three of the people I know that is from China live in Singapore. But I've heard some of the stories and it is, you sometimes just go, what the fuck? But then there's also, I guess, good things for people that is working with the government. If you work with the Chinese government, you're rich as fuck. Right? You have endless money if you work with the government. So there's also, I guess, that sort of good thing. North Korea, but with food? I don't know. North Korea is fucking horrible, dude. Oh my Christ. North Korea is miserable. I've seen an interview with a girl whose parents escaped North Korea, and that shit is fucking foul, dude. Yes, Vorgol, I believe there's going to be a 9.2. I think there's even going to be a 9.3. Although, my source also told me when to expect the next expansion, at least the date that they have currently planned for the next expansion. Do you guys want to know that? Who's an incredible douche, Norman? Feels like a 9.2, to be honest. It feels like one, but the internal date for the next expansion, right now at least, is November, end of November next year. Still think China is much, much better than North Korea. Of course. Use a VPN just to play games and watch videos. The censor won't care. North Korea is fucking miserable. Raving Mo, thank you for the follow. Really fucking appreciate that. Welcome to the channel. Thank you. And I love your name. So, interview with personal bodyguard of Kim Ir-sen. I don't know who the fuck that is. I wouldn't live. I would literally not even visit North Korea. Like, genuinely, these people that have the guts to go visit North Korea makes no fucking sense to me. Like, if you do something wrong in North Korea and you get caught, like, maybe you do something you don't know is wrong, and they catch you and they throw you in jail, you're fucked, bro.
look like you've lost some weight. That's terrible. Have a dumpling.
You finally I catch you live. Absolutely love your YouTube content less than 3.
Raving Wolf, thank you very much. Really appreciate the 250 bits and welcome to the live stream. Happy to have you here. That's true. Shadowlands will feel rushed, in my opinion. That's currently, according to my source, the working date for them. It's the end of November next year for the next expansion. Do I agree with this? Fuck no. I would have preferred if Blizzard announced that the next expansion is going to be November of 2023. Quite frankly. That would have been my preferred choice. Because take your time, get the expansion fucking right, make sure that it's perfect, and then give us the expansion. BlizzCon 2023, let's hope Blizz pulls a Sega. They announce a new expansion pack, then announce it goes live in 12 hours. If they rush another expansion, they'll lose a bunch of players. The thing is, I have a prediction for the next expansion, and we can check back when the next expansion launches to see how right I was. I think the next expansion is going to have no systems of borrow power. Like, not even less, like Ian said. I think it's going to have 0 systems of borrow power. It's going to be an expansion with literally all the things that we remember. Right? So, daily quests are most likely going to make a comeback. It's going to be dungeons, it's going to be raids, it's going to be PvP. There's going to be tier sets, and that's it. That's the only way I see Blizzard pushing out a new expansion that fast that doesn't piss off every single player. I believe they're still working from home. I'm going to go again. People want a Dragonal expansion. Whatever they put in extra is bonus. Do you think we will get lower Vol'jin by the end of Shadowlands or ever? Well, we already know that Vol'jin is a lower. They've already placed Vol'jin inside a lower pod. They're making him a lower. It would be great if Shadowlands would transcend into the following expansion. That will prolong the lore afterwards. I've always been a fan of the expansions following more closely upon one another and the story following more closely. So a part 2 of the Shadowlands expansion would actually be a great idea. Tell about North Korea, horror, quoting it. No, and I agree with you. If they follow the trend, we will go back to Azeroth for the next expansion. We will probably go back to Shadowlands for the next expansion. But if they're gonna, look, if they're gonna bring out the next expansion, here's the thing. Here's the problem that I have currently. We are still waiting for patch 9.1. Now, if we're correct, the 9.1 launches on July the 20th, which my source tells me is the date. Then they have to start pushing patch 9.2. Which, if they haven't even started with, most likely, because they're all hands on deck for 9.1, it's probably going to be another 6 months, if not longer, for patch 9.2. So you're looking at December, January for patch 9.2. Then they have basically another 6-7 months to bring out 9.3 before November, so they give themselves more than enough time for the sort of alpha and the beta testing for the next expansion. My issue is if you're still not even done with 9.1 now, have you even fucking started heavy work on the next expansion? Think about this. 9.1 is still not even done. Have they started work on the next expansion? Is this them basically... Maybe they're buying time? Maybe 9.1 is already done, but they've decided to delay it to buy more time for the next expansion. Or maybe to buy more time for the next patch, which wouldn't be entirely impossible, right? Jemani, I'm happy to hear that. I missed the whole X-Pac talk because buddy at work came up to me. Shit, fucking. What did he want? When Illidan is coming back? Shan't they have? Maybe some ideas on a paper, but it would be weird if they put recourses into 10.0. I know there's different teams, but Kasragor, with how far behind Shadowlands was, you could argue that some of those teams are now working on Shadowlands itself. Because the Team 2 is far smaller than Team 1. So there's a very good chance that Blizzard pulled some people from Team 1 to bolster the ranks of Team 2 so that they can actually get the patches out. I didn't say November 22. End of November is what the current date is for the expansion. See, Illidan versus Arthas 2.0. I wouldn't be surprised if people from both teams left. If they want to stall, they can release new scenarios. There's so many ways that Blizzard can stall the game. Patches one for Xbox. Kasragor, I'm well aware of that. I know that there are two teams. I've spoken to people from both teams, so I'm very much aware of how the inner workings for Blizzard is. But Shadowlands was so far behind. 9.1 was so far behind that there's almost not a chance that they didn't bring people from one team over to Team 2 to basically get the patch out. This doesn't explain how they're going to get patch 9.2 out in time. Because if 9.1 was this far behind, how the fuck are they going to get 9.2 out earlier? Unless, of course, 9.2 doesn't add anything new. So they decide to not add a new land to it. Norman, I see what you mean. I don't know if... I mean, according to Blizzard, no one is really leaving. Their teams are growing and people are sticking around, according to Blizzard at least. So I genuinely don't know. My opinion, we don't get 9.3. What would it feel like not to get 9.3 in Shadowlands, though? Because all that means is 9.2 is going to have to be one hell of an expansion. Or one hell of a patch. And would that not chase more people away? Like, if you think about it. If there's no 9.3 and 9.2 is the final patch, and people have to stick with 9.2 from, say, December or January all the way to November, is that not going to mean that even more people fuck off? Trash, then I'm going to be sad. The Embrace Warlock, the people that they fired, though, wasn't developers. A lot of people get this wrong. The people that were fired were people that was working in esports, and some of the more, like, community manager type people. They didn't actually fire developers. So developers, they've actually hired more developers. Wait so long for the next raid. Hope we get 9.3. I think the idea of only having a fixed number of patches in one expansion is stupid. Zixix, I agree with you so much on that. Like my video from yesterday said, the entire idea of we have 3 major patches per expansion and then it's the new expansion, it's so fucking stupid. How about you just have patches until the fucking next expansion is ready? Like, just keep working on patches until the next expansion is ready. Bring out more stuff. Bring out smaller stuff. You don't always have to do 12-man fucking raids. A quick 3-man raid is still going to be a fun raid for people to partake in. And then you can do it every 3 months, right? Every 3 months, there's a small 3-man raid. You could do it where you have one massive raid, 12-man raid, and then one smaller 3-man raid, and then one 12-man raid, and then one 3-boss raid. So you continuously just vary it. More dungeons, small dungeons. It could be dungeons with 2 or 3 bosses in them, but more dungeons for people to partake in. More events for people to partake in. There's so much that you can do. Polish streamers speak about this. Honestly, bring out smaller patches, but keep the expansions alive and well fed. I would love smaller patches. I also think that I would love if Blizzard took the time that was required to ensure that you end up with a good expansion. Doesn't matter how long it takes for the expansion. You can make it fucking Jesus. You could easily do it every 4 years. As long as there's new content for players to engage in and keep them happy, people aren't going to be desperate for a new expansion, and they're going to love the fact that when a new expansion launches, it's amazing. Right? So a new expansion is actually brilliant, and people love the new expansion. Vorgel, I can get behind that too. When you won the PvP match you did in VOA, and I remember a ninja the mammoth mount, and raid was fun. That raid was very, very fun. They could give us more rape grinds that make us feel like it's worth it as well. There's so much that Blizzard could do that they don't do because they can't for some reason think of it. 9.1, they could be starting to release the content with smaller patches, piece by piece, better than nothing, or all at once and still not finished. That's another thing that I've never understood. The insistence that every single big patch must be this massive patch. So it must be almost as big as a new fucking game. It's almost as if you're setting yourself up for failure then. Because you're giving yourself so little time to do so much work. Where if you just slowed it down, released little things, little by little, every now and again, the story would feel as if it's moving forward at a much faster pace. People would get new stuff all the time that they could get excited by. And the game would just always feel good. Plus, it would allow you to get so much more changes. This is the thing that pisses me off probably more than ever. Amor, thank you much for the follow. Really fucking appreciate that. Welcome to the channel. Thank you, thank you, thank you. How you doing, Amor? So, the entire idea that massive class changes only happens in 0.5 or 0.1 patches also never made sense to me. If something is broken, fix it. Why do you need to wait for a new fucking patch? Just fix it. For example, if you look at Torghast, it's not working at the moment. Why do you insist on waiting for a new fucking patch to fix Torghast? Just fucking fix it. I guarantee you, players aren't going to be like, well, you just launched that new Torghast in the middle of a patch. I fucking hate this. No, if it fixes the fucking issue, people aren't going to hate the fact that it didn't come with a patch. People are just going to be happy that it came. I feel like they took a wrong turn content-wise when they made the 0.1 content is dead when 0.2 comes out. Sweetie, you and me both. You and me fucking both. Because at the end of the day, the correct way to play World of Warcraft, and I don't care what anyone says, it's the truth. Ricardo Milos Dons. Amor, what does that even mean? At the end of the day, the best way to play World of Warcraft is don't play in 9.1, don't play in 9.2, come back in 9.3. That's the best way to play World of Warcraft right now. Because 9.3 is the only time where all of your work will not be replaced by the next patch. That's the only time that you can really play the game, and it's really a good time to play the game. Talaman, how you doing, bro? We're sitting on a small indie company. Come to the dark side, Echo. We're shitting, not really shitting, talking about patch cycles and shit like that. I did the same for BFA. I tried to play BFA at the beginning. Fucking loathed it. Tried to come back at every single patch. Loathed it. 8.2 was sort of fun. But I came in 8.3. That's when I sort of played the majority of my time. Because at least then, you know, you're not going to replace everything every single fucking patch. No idea how I played BFA start to end. What boggles my mind is that after all these years, Blizzard still hasn't figured this shit out, what we're talking about right now. Because I don't think Blizzard have their ear on the ground anymore. If you listen, do you think WoW is dying or is dead? Vectron, I don't think it's dying, nor do I think it's dead. I think it's going through a rough patch, but there are many loyal players that will be back as soon as it fixes its shit. Look at what Yoshi P does for Final Fantasy. I was literally flabbergasted when I read this in the interview. Do you guys know that Square Enix, Yoshi P, for the Final Fantasy team, have teams of players or teams of developers whose only job is to play other MMOs? And when they come up with interesting things that other MMOs are doing, when they see things that other MMOs are doing, they implement those things into Final Fantasy. They find a way to get those things into Final Fantasy. They keep an eye on their competition consistently, looking at what the competition is doing. I can almost guarantee you that they probably have people that also take a look at YouTube videos, watches YouTube videos. I believe it was not too long ago that Blizzard, actually someone at Blizzard said they don't watch YouTube videos. Now, I know not all of them. There are some that watch it. Macmillan, you beautiful motherfucker. I was starting to worry. Like, I legitimately thought I should message you and find out if you're still alive. I haven't seen you around in ages. The Blizzard developers, and this is why I've said this so many times, the ego on the Blizzard developers have become so large that they no longer look at their community for guidance. Yeah, I was forced to. Sadly, power outages and power cuts. I have power cuts again tonight. I'm streaming on borrowed time at the moment. But luckily, the power goes out. I'm going to the gym, so I miss at least an hour of the fucking power outage. That if they listen to the entire community, there would be some fucked up shit in game. I don't think anyone is ever saying, holy shit. Macmillan literally comes in and he fucking drops 20 community subs. Can we get some love in chat? Can we get some love in chat for Big Mac? And 20 community subs. Macmillan, really fucking appreciate that, dude. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Big Mac is in the house. Really appreciate that, Mac. So no one said they should listen to the whole community. That'd be stupid, right? You shouldn't listen to every single person that speaks, but you should keep your ear on the ground. You should always be listening and watching. What is it the players are complaining about? What is it the players don't like? Why are players sometimes complaining about one thing and maybe not complaining about another thing, right? Those are things that I think is important to any game. And the problem with me, with what I view with World of Warcraft right now, is it seems like their developers are so afraid of the criticism that comes their way from content creators in the community that they'd rather pretend as if it doesn't exist. That's the feeling that I get. Because if I look at the changes that they keep implementing, I don't see that being the changes that players asked for. Of all the things that's wrong with Torghast, the things that they fixed in this patch, in 9.1, that wasn't even the biggest problems the players had with Torghast. If you really listened to player feedback, that wouldn't have been the changes that you made. Right? And the same can be said for Conduit Energy. The same can be said for World Quest. The same can be said for literally everything. Now, I will give Blizzard a hell of a lot of props. For anyone that hasn't played Korthia yet, be ready for a massive surprise. Korthia is amazing. It's small, yes, but it's an amazing realm. I've played Korthia. It's good fun. There is so much shit there. There's so much to unlock in Korthia. and sometimes smaller stories, like side quest stories that has very little to do with a big game. It's just sort of a story here, a secret, if you will. So Korthia is really well done at the minute. Buy a premium battle pass like in Apex or Division or Destiny 2, and you would be encountering with weekly caps. You would be like, the hell is this? Truth. Honestly, I agree with the feeling, but I think it's less of them listening and more of them playing it too safe. Activision won't let them take risks. Everything has to resemble something that came before, hence the borrow power flaw. Vorgel, again, you weren't here at the beginning of the stream when we spoke about this. I don't like blaming Activision for decisions that can be traced back to a single man taking control of World of Warcraft. Every single... No, Vorgel, you don't have to apologize. I'm not lambasting you for not being here at the beginning. I'm just saying, for anyone that's been here from the beginning, so that they don't think I'm just repeating myself for the sake of fucking repeating myself. Just to stretch out the stream. You know, every single problem that World of Warcraft currently exists with, or deals with, was introduced in Legion. Legion was Ian's first ever expansion. Now, many people would say, no, it was actually WoD. Not true. Ian took over at the beginning of WoD, but WoD was still designed by Tom Chilton. He was still the main developer he was still the lead developer of World of Warcraft at that time. So much of WoD would have been done by Tom Chilton and his team before Ian took over. Legion was the first time that Ian had full control over the game. Time to cut the grass and take care of the house. Take care, Akko. Have fun, chat. Kush Fairy, thank you for hanging out. Dude, really appreciate it. Take care of yourself, bro. I believe that Blizzard cares more about player retention than the story. Oh, Kadobi, you're not alone on that. The only thing Blizzard cares about is how often do you log into the game every single week, and whether or not you have fun while you log in, that's besides the point, right? You know, no. I don't necessarily think that Ian is killing the game. I think Ian's in a refusal to listen and to put himself aside is what's killing the game currently. I don't think Ian should be fired. He has some amazing ideas, and I love most of his ideas. The problem is he has these preconceived ideas of how his ideas should be interacted with. And that's the big issue. Ian designs the game the way that he wants to play the game, not on how the players want to play the game. Maybe WoD was started and on track, and Ian was the reason for the huge drought. WoD, not really, because Ian, as the lead developer, he didn't really have the ability to control WoD too much. They made a calculated call to just move straight into Legion. There's all of the systems in World of Warcraft currently, as I've said before, is perfect. You don't have to remove any systems. All you have to do is remove player power from them. And then they're fine. Torghast, cool system. As long as it doesn't have Soul Ash, you can do pretty much whatever you want with Torghast. When Soul Ash is attached to Torghast, now suddenly you can't make it too hard or too long because there's players who's not going to like it, but they still want the Soul Ash from it. So what do? Well, there's nothing that you can do, right? You've added personal player power to it. Now you have to limit yourself and how much fun you can have with it. If Torghast didn't have Soul Ash, it would be much harder. It would be far longer, and it would be something that's just fun for players. It would be cosmetics. That's it. World quests, again, because it's attached to player power through the Covenant system. It means that you have to always engage in it. You want to know how you fix world quests? You attach it once again to reputation. Once you reach Exalted, you're done. You never have to do another world quest in your life. You've reached Exalted with that faction, you're done. That's what dailies used to be. Once you were done with your dailies, month and a half, maybe 2 months into the expansion, you were done. Never have to do them again. World quests are far more fun than dailies. they get less fun when you realize that you're going to do the same world quest for the whole expansion, because you're always going to have to upgrade your fucking covenant, right? Then they get far less fun. But if you just tied them to a single reputation, and once you're exalted, you're done, they're a wonderful replacement to dailies. Every single system in World of Warcraft that currently fails is because it's tied to player power. Remove the player power and you will have so much more freedom to make a good game. Cody, I would agree with that. If it was another Mage Tower, it would have actually been crazy fun. Shakimi, how you doing? BC attunements, I don't necessarily agree with, because they were very punishing for a lot of guilds, especially for high-end guilds that needed players to actually fill their raid roster. So I don't necessarily think BC attunements should ever come back. But there are other ways to make the game once again feel very good, right? Boom Shaka, thank you very much for the follow. Really fucking appreciate that. Welcome to the channel. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Mage Tower is totally optional. They don't want for Torghast. They tied it to progression. Aureus, by the way, I'm loving your game. I'm just currently playing a lot of Final Fantasy, but I've played a little bit of Going Medieval, and it's fucking amazing. So thank you so much for the key, bro. Really appreciate the key. I love the sort of merge between RimWorld and Oxygen Not Included. It's cool. It's really fucking cool. If you have a couple of bucks lying around, guys, buy Going Medieval. They went together and gave people a reason to help each other. Daily Quest back in the day did not feel as stupid as the World Quest these days. It used to be the same crap over and over again, but it was only for reputation and to get some gold. Macmillan, but that's exactly what I'm saying, right? I agree with you 100%. There was nothing magical about dailies, but dailies didn't feel bad because you knew why you were doing the dailies. You were doing dailies because you wanted to get the reputation. Once you had the reputation, and there was always something to look forward to, because every single time you moved up a layer or a tier of reputation, there'd be new things that you could buy from the vendor. Up until Exalted, where you sometimes got a mount, sometimes got some tabard. You know, it was really cool to be able to do these things. So they gave you a reason, but they also had an end. There was a point where you no longer had to worry about them. You stepped out, you were done, right? And on your alt, you would only do the ones that was really required for your professions on your alt. The rest you wouldn't do at all, right? Yeah, they took a hell of a lot less time, but that doesn't necessarily matter, right? Because at the end of the day, World Quest is fine if World Quest ended. If there was an end to it, it would be amazing. That made me want to do dailies because it helped me get gold, but I did not feel like I was forced to do it to progress. Mac, 100% agree with you. Paragon chests? Fuck them. It would be cool if the area changed based on the rep. I mean, that's something that I've always said should happen, but that's not something that is ever going to happen. I don't think so anyways. Look, at the end of the day, there's probably a million different things that we could come up with that World of Warcraft could do differently, and that World of Warcraft should do differently. Zucchini, it's called Going Medieval. It's on Steam. And it's one of the viewers, like it's literally Aureus. He's one of the developers for the game. So if you want to support one of the viewers, absolutely pick up Going Medieval. It's a good, fun game, very relaxed. It's a city building sim. It's a colony building sim, basically. It's good fun. I personally just think if you give players more opportunities to play your game, more players will actually play your game. The problem is Blizzard gives no opportunity to play the game other than the forced opportunities where they force you to play the game in one way or another, right? I've heard about it. I've never played it. On this note, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, I do hate the fact that I have to say goodnight to all of you. I have to get ready for the gym. My power is going out in like 30 minutes and I'm leaving for the gym in about 15. So it's been good fun, as always, hanging out with you. I wish to fucking God that these power outages would stop so that I could actually get work done and start the streams earlier. That 4-hour mark just always seems to fucking elude us with the power outages. But it is still the plan. By the power, at least I could join the stream this time. I will be back tomorrow, by the way. We'll be streaming again tomorrow. We can continue this conversation that we were just having. So for those of you that want to join tomorrow and have a bit more of a discussion about Blizzard and obviously lore and all the rest of it, we will definitely be back tomorrow for the final stream of the week. And then, of course, Sunday for the start of the Shill Show. This last Shill Show was actually pretty cool. It was nice to be back in the Shill Show. So keep your calendars open for Sunday. I'm actually going to start funding electricity in South Africa. If only. I don't think anyone has the money to fucking fund electricity in South Africa. It is just the bullshit. It's something I can't fix, sadly. But anyways, think about me when you're sitting in your nicely lit homes with the lights and reading and maybe eating something. Think about me whenever you turn on your microwave and it just works. Or, you know, when you have food on the stove. Think about me sitting in the fucking dark with nothing to do. Ravy G, how you doing, bro? It would be nice if you could just, you know, spare a little prayer for me whenever you're doing all the nice things that you do in the first world while I'm doing fuck all in the third world. So, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, I love all of you. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Thank you so much for spending your evening with me. I will see all of you back here tomorrow for another stream. Take care of yourselves. Be kind to one another. Go watch my videos on YouTube. There's a bunch of them that I don't know if you've seen them already. And I will be back tomorrow. Peace out, fam.